The Falcons are re-energized after a win last week, while today's opponent, the Bobcats, looked to rebound from a tough loss last week. Coming up, it's MAC action, Ohio, Bowling Green. Good-looking day today at Bowling Green as the Falcons try to make it 2 in a row, taking on a conference favorite in the Bobcats of Ohio. Last week, the conference, and particularly this division, got thrown upside down. Ohio losing at home and Bowling Green a surprise winner on the road. Greetings, Jim Barber. Bobby Carpenter, who started at Ohio State. Bobby appreciates good defense. One year he was top 5 in sacks. Another year he was top 5 in interceptions in the Big Ten. So let's talk defense in Bowling Green. This is a team that's best in the country at recovering fumbles. Why is that?
They do a great job with turnovers. And number one, talking to the coaches, they stress turning over. They work it over every day in practice. A lot of coaches will talk about it. This staff with Mike Jinks, they be about it.
Yeah, it was the turnover of the year last week by this guy, Brandon Harris, who turned the entire game around against Miami.
Brandon Harris, ultra-athletic guy out of Cleveland Shaw, tall, long, versatile player, and last week takes the game by storm. MAC Defensive Player of the Week, you see him right here scooping, scoring, picking this fumble up and using that speed to take it up to seal the game in the first conference, win the first win of the season for the Falcons.
So that means on the other side, the starting quarterback for the Bobcats of Ohio, his name is Nathan Rourke. And you know what? He's got to do a better job of holding on to football this week than last.
Well, Nathan Rourke, the Canadian, sealed up his job as the starter here against Eastern Michigan a couple weeks ago. He's done a good job taking care of the ball. Last week was a little bit out of character for him. A couple of turnovers. Frank Solich hates that. He's going to have to clean that up today against a good Falcons defense.
Now, we mentioned, and you saw by graphic, the Falcons are 1-5, trying to do what Miami did last year, which is come back from the depths of despair, namely at that time 0-6, and eventually make a bowl game. Kickoff coming up at 3:34 Eastern time today between Bowling Green and Ohio from Falcon Stadium on the campus of BGST. It is homecoming at Deutsch Perry Stadium today, again on a gorgeous afternoon. Late afternoon for college football. Let's introduce you to the coaches. For Ohio, it's Frank Solich, year number 13. He is third best in MAC wins all time with 92 and a loss record of 69. On the other end, Mike Jinks improved his stock with a win last week. After the start of 0-5, he says it's not a quick fix here. And last week with the defense, got them off the snide and got them in position to win a football game and maybe make a run at the conference championship. Who knows?
Yeah, doing a great job, Frank Solich, third longest tenured head coach, not only in the MAC, in all of college football, only behind Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, Gary Patterson at TCU. So in good company there, 12th season or 13th season here now for the Bobcats. And you see a former Falcon last night, Dino Babers, doing a great job getting a big win as Syracuse takes down Clemson. So Mike Jinks, although starting off 0-5, it's not a bad place to be when you have the likes of Babers, Urban Meyer rolling through here and going on and taking on some big-time programs.
Right, Bobby, let's listen in to Kurt Johnson and midfield.
The opposite side has no white and will be tails. Do you know what you want to call?
Yes. Heads.
You want to call heads?
Head.
Mr. Crawford, would you do the honors, please? It is a tails. Bowling Green, you have won the toss. You want to defer. You want to receive.
Yes.
And which way do you want to kick? Put your backs to your goals for me, gentlemen. Bowling Green has won the toss and will defer. Ohio
so the Falcons
is going to receive.
Toss. They've
okay,
decided
gentlemen,
here
go
on
ahead and shake
homecoming
hands.
they will
Let's have a great game.
Defend. And with the wind ever swirling here, that could be a factor as we look at the stat matchup. Bowling Green's numbers, Bobby, maybe a bit misleading because they were knocked around in the Big Ten by Northwestern and by Michigan State.
They had a very tough non-conference schedule. Mike Jinks has talked about that, how tough it was early on, but you see him +4 in turnovers, Bobcats -3. Makes sense to start on defense, Jim. If you get an opportunity to kick the ball off, maybe you can get yourself a quick turnover, get a quick score, and steal a possession there coming out of the half.
You know, we didn't see it, at least on camera yet, but we saw Mike Jinks actually smile prior to kickoff, and that's what one victory will do for you.
Winning cures everything, and I know that they've been close here. You watched them play a very tough game against Akron when they lost their starting quarterback at the time, Jarrett Dagey. Maybe we'll get a chance to see him today, but if not, he's going to leave it in the competent hands of James Morgan. But winning cures a lot of ills, and that's what this Falcons team has a little confidence now. They're 1-1 in the MAC, taking on the preseason expected champs here in the Bobcats, and see if they can keep this momentum rolling here on a Saturday in October.
And a beautiful one at that. Keelan Nelson is deep. 91 is Nick Fields. We're ready to play. Important game today in the MAC East because of what happened last week. And we're off. And with the wind at his back, which is going to be the case often today with the team going from right to left, that ball is hammered for 70 yards. So we go to the Ohio offense first, and we'll introduce you to Nathan Rourke.
Nathan Rourke, very talented quarterback, the Canadian, and Frank Solich has been a fan of platooning quarterbacks. Most guys say if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Frank has rotated guys, but Nathan Rourke won this starting job here a handful of weeks ago against Eastern Michigan. He's done a good job last week, 3 fumbles and an interception. Going to look to clean that up because this Bobcats offense is a ball control attack, like to take play action shots, and they don't want to turn the football over.
And Bobby will have some help from A.J. Olette, 45 in the backfield. Tried to take some pressure off that passing game today. Zone read to start. And Olette falls down at the 25, no gain. Let's talk impact players. That begins with A.J., by the way.
Well, and it starts with him there, the big physical back for OU, wanting to get downhill and get some things going. That's going to start their offense. And then defensively, number 19, Brandon Harris, the big play last week, and coming off a MAC Defensive Player of the Week against Miami.
And that defense now will be faced with a 3rd and short. The spot should be at the 33-yard line, maybe the 32.
Bobcats going with a little turnover here to turn a tempo here to start this game and see if they can get this Falcons defense off balance. But a big 3rd and 4 here, want to try to convert this. Should have most of the playbook open as they have a very 3rd and manageable situation.
Had to swat away a fly a little earlier like they does with offensive players occasionally. Official spot 31, 3rd and 4.
BT showing some pressure here at the bottom of the screen. We try to pressure Nathan Rourke into throwing an interception.
Long count by Rourke. Pitch left side, Olette. Won't get to the sticks. So for the Bobcats, it is 3 and out, and that Bowling Green defense. We saw Gus Schwieterman, 63 up there, and Armani Posey, who was actually moved from the middle linebacker spot to the boundary in on the tackle.
So Nathan Rourke saw that pressure coming from the bottom of the screen, tried to run the option away from it, and great job by Bowling Green to string that thing out and limit it to a very short gain here, force a 4th down.
Brings on Michael Farkas, who had a 74-yard punt against Bowling Green last year. Some interference at the 27-yard line, and that's going to be a foul coming up against Ohio's. Marcus Milton was in position to catch. We never had a chance.
Unfortunately, Matt Robinson there got a little bit too close, excited. The gunner there for the Bobcats getting into him, and we'll hear the call for catch interference.
Kick catching interference. Kicking team, number 35. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the flag. 1st down.
And the problem with that is it takes you from a defensive standpoint, pretty good position on the field, to now the football being placed beyond the 40-yard line.
And that's the goal with Mike Jinks. You come out and defer the opening kick. You're hoping your defense gets a 3 and out. Maybe get some sort of a punt return and allows you to set up here with some nice field position. Starting at the 30 would have been great. 45 going to be even better for the Falcons as we look for James Morgan to see what he can do leading this Falcons offense.
You see his numbers from last year, 22 of 38. Morgan, the starting quarterback. Jarrett Dagey still on the shelf. He replaces Dagey from a couple of weeks ago. The give to Josh Cleveland, and there's going to be a penalty coming up on that. Possibly a face mask, we'll see.
Great job by Cleon Aloese getting in the backfield, forcing the cut by Cleveland, but looked like he got a face mask there.
You know what's interesting about number one?
Face mask. Defense.
Cleveland suffered an injury
92,
recently and actually had to be taken out of the game last week, Bobby.
First down.
And Andrew Clare stepped in and was outstanding. 16 carries for 121 yards. And you know what Mike Jinks said about Clare to his starting quarterback or running back Cleveland? He said, you know what? That Clare's pretty good. You better get back.
Well, Clare's a very talented player, big explosive guy offensively for this Falcons offense, and then defensively for the Bobcats. It's Quentin Pulling, their middle linebacker, number 32. Big play in the win against Eastern Michigan at the end of the game to pat down a pass, and an NFL caliber guy.
Morgan flushed out, has to throw it away. So this drive has consisted of 30 yards by way of penalties.
And that's a great way to go for the Falcons. You can't really complain, but the Bobcats get a little pressure early on, even without Kevin Robbins. Defensive end out for the first half with targeting, didn't even make the trip today, has a bit of an injury as well, so a little bit of shuffling on the defensive line for the Bobcats.
It was his replacement, White Shulman, who put pressure on that very first play. Back to the running game, and Bowling Green has established a running game it did not have a couple of weeks ago as Cleveland carries the first down. He is slow to get up, though, and he is limping off the field. So you wonder, after the tackle by Nelson, is Cleveland 100%?
And Cleveland showed good speed there at the beginning. They're going a little tempo to get to the sideline and outrun Trent Smart right there, turn up the field, pick up some yards, and unfortunately probably has a little bit of an ankle now, limping off the field.
Back to live play. Teo Reddy makes a catch on a short gain of 4 to be 2nd and 6. Seven Crouch, who is the outside linebacker and played backup to a guy that's in the NFL from last year. Helps make the tackle. Now we take a look at Grant Loy, and typically he's a wildcat kind of guy.
I look for him to run here, starting to get in. Maybe this could be a trick play shot opportunity as they get in the gold zone.
Yeah, exactly. Now looking to throw back to Loy, but there's nowhere to go. And as a result, Wilcox has to carry and try to eat up some yardage. You know what? That play with Jared Dagey a couple of weeks ago resulted in a Dagey injury, so what is Mike Jinks and the staff thinking about here?
That's why they're putting in Grant Loy. They're not going to run the throwback to James Morgan, as he may be their only healthy starting quarterback at this point. But right there in between the 25 and 30, a lot of coaches call that the gold zone or the strike zone. Wanted to take a shot before they get in the red to see if they can pick up a cheap touchdown, and the Bobcats are ready for it right there after watching some film.
3rd down. Morgan back in the game with time. Intended for Redding inside the 10, and now Redding is laid out. Penalty flags all over the place. You wonder if there might be some targeting on this.
That looks like a targeting situation to me as Redding's down. Popped his helmet off. A pretty good defense right there by Jalen Fox. Don't think it was on him. It appeared to be the safety coming over.
Be Javon Hagan.
Javon Hagan, and this looks like it's most likely going to be a targeting situation as you hope that Redding is okay.
Ohio already has 3 targeting violations on the year.
And this is something the coaches have been struggling and trying to figure out. And
targeting, defense, number 2. The previous play is under review.
Now that has to be confirmed by replay. Nick Banyol's handling that. Stan Evans is the communicator today. And now you get a chance to take a look at it.
You see him sitting in the pocket there. Nice ball. And that's a tough one there by Javon Hagan. As you see him closing down, he lowers his strike zone, and the problem is the receivers try to catch the ball. They anticipate the safeties coming over. They don't want to get hit in the chest. They try to crouch down, and that changes the strike zone, but it looks like some clear targeting by the letter of the rules. I anticipate Javon Hagan to be done for this game, and it looks like Redding may be done as well, as he's getting up now very gingerly and looks to be hopefully all right.
Bobby, you already mentioned that Kevin Robbins is lost for the first half after a targeting violation last week in a loss to Central Michigan. And we talked to Frank Solich about it this week, the head coach of Ohio. He said, look, we've had a couple of them that could have gone either way, but we know what the strike zone is. We have to aim for that strike zone you just mentioned.
And it's tough because it's a moving target, as you just saw again. It's defensive backs, they're trying their best to try to get down, and I don't necessarily would view Javon Hagan as a dirty player, and I don't even know if that was necessarily a dirty play, but by the letter of what you consider targeting, I think they're going to rule it as such. and it looks like Hagan would most likely be gone in that situation.
Here comes Kurt Johnson.
After further review, there was no targeting. Number 2 may remain in the game. It'll be 4th and 7 at the previous spot.
Frank Solich is probably
Number 9 is required to leave the football game for one play because his helmet came off.
Probably happy about the result, but I think that may even lead to more confusion as to what they deemed targeting was. But I didn't see Hagan lower his head there. He looked like he was trying to run through the tackle, but it appeared that he got Redding in the head, and hopefully Redding will be all right and be able to contribute on the rest of this drive.
All right, usually you're very adept at these things, but you're 0 for 1, so you've lost one of your challenges now.
You know what? I'm telling you, watching some of the Ohio State game last week, and
who could tell?
Denzel, well, I have no idea what exactly they rule targeting now anymore.
Here's Jake Suter from 42, well within his range with the wind. He's had a terrific season so far. That's his 10th conversion in 11 tries. 11:35 first quarter. Bowling Green 3, Ohio nothing. On a weekend where there were 2 top 10 teams going down last night, Michigan now forced to overtime in Bloomington, Indiana, in a game tied at 20.
I can't believe the Wolverines took the Hoosiers to overtime, Jim. I mean, that's the situation there where, thought Indiana, being at home, big-time favorite, but the Hoosiers doing a great job playing Ohio State tough earlier this year, played Michigan tough last year, beat Michigan State. This could be a big opportunity there and get a great win for the Hoosiers there at home.
Can you ever stay objective when it comes to Ohio State and Michigan?
I like to watch Michigan win. It makes the game at the end of the season better.
It does. It's Keelan Nelson and a 84-yard touchdown run back in 2014 against Miami. Nick Fields again to kick off, again with wind. Same result as earlier. Bobcats to start again from their own 25.
Good job by the Bobcat defense. They're coming out 7 plays, 31 yards, 30 in penalties, but forcing then a field goal, so doing a good job after giving up a free 30 here. We'll see if the Bobcat offense can get something rolling there after a 3 and out to start. Like to get A.J. Ouellette rolling, I'm sure, a little bit to develop this running game that opens up the play-action pass.
This is an offense top 25 in the country in scoring at 38 points a game. Great balance between rush and pass. 213, 198.
Ran a little more to their left side early in the game. Their right tackle, Jared McCray, out this week, so they're starting Austin Pleasance in place, so probably want to try to take it easy on him as much as they can early on.
Ouellette straight ahead for a pickup of 3.
And that's the Bobcat offense right there. Frank Solich, he's not running his triple option attack anymore. Now they're running it out of the spread, but he still loves to run the football. Doesn't want to get in a situation where they're turning over and going a little more tempo here again with the Bobcats.
Yeah, a little change of personality here. Ouellette, by the way, invited walk-on, and then eventually got a scholarship here, and well-earned. He did not play most of last year due to injury. Back healthy for 2017. Rourke, incomplete. Intended for Andrew Meyer.
Good job there by Marcus Milton, the Pickerington Central product. Probably playing as good as anyone back there in that secondary. Locking down on Meyer on the crossing route here and forcing a 3rd and 7. Great opportunity for the defense.
14 is the guy that gets that secondary lined up. And very much an impact player, as you mentioned, Bobby. So now it is 3rd and 7 on Ohio's second possession of the game.
Looking for Perry Alano here. He's a guy that likes to bring a little bit of pressure every now and then. He's got some athletic backers. Brandon Harris, a guy that can move around, do a lot of things. Posey playing very well, number 7 as well. And then Locke, the heart and soul of that defense in the middle. Looks to be playing coverage though right now.
3-by-1 set. Rourke with time. Incomplete, intended for Cameron Odom. And so for Ohio, 3 and out once again. Montre Gregory, pretty good cover corner back there.
They're a little physical out there on the edge, and you see Cameron Odom trying to go up and get the ball. Rourke put it a little bit high, but the officials are letting these guys play on the perimeter today on both sides of the ball, and I'm kind of enjoying it as a defensive player.
No, why not? Makes the game more interesting, doesn't it?
Well, you always see these flag fests every Saturday now, so let them play. Makes the game go faster and it's more enjoyable.
The heat on Farkas, but gets it away. It bounces at the 35, and that's where it's going to die. Bowling Green 3, Ohio nothing. Back to business in a moment. 5 Mid-American Conference games all started at 3:30 Eastern today. This obviously is one of them. Earlier today, Army defeated Eastern Michigan 28-27. Brogan Roback threw 4 touchdown passes for Eastern Michigan, but Eastern Michigan went for 2 at the end of the game after a touchdown, failed, and lost.
I like Chris Creighton being aggressive there. The Eagles going for the win. I have no problem with that. His Army's a much improved football team. Watching them play earlier this season, I've been very impressed with the Black Knights and what they've been able to do.
It's a good football game at the Academy. Cleveland trying to run wide, then cuts back around the original line of scrimmage. Again, Josh Cleveland missed most of the game last week against Miami and probably could have used his efforts, although Claire came in and spotted him well.
Cleveland has good speed there to get to the perimeter. As you saw Wyatt Shulman pushing the pocket, trying to get him to surrender some yards. Now 2nd and 10 here for the Falcons.
Wyatt Shulman's been battling knee issues, but today he gets the start in place of Kevin Robbins, who's on the shelf until the second half due to a targeting violation last week against the Chips. 2nd and 10, Morgan. Safe route to Cleveland to try and make something happen after the catch.
Nice little check down over there to the perimeter. Use Cleveland's athleticism to get him down. The Bobcats secondary doing a great job locking it down, and with Shulman dropping back in coverage, forcing Cleveland out of bounds.
Ohio's defense has a lot of positives to it. Getting off the field is one of those on 3rd down. They're in the top 25 at that, and also have sacked the quarterback 15 times. That's 3rd best in the conference.
They get after him a little bit. Frank Solich wants to see a little more pressure after giving up 50 points a couple weeks ago to UMass, and here the Bobcats go with some heat.
In fact, he changed his pass coverage as a result, but that doesn't stop Miller from making a catch there for a 1st down. Scott Miller, the first of what is likely, Bobby, many catches today.
Scott Miller is the slot threat here for the Falcons. Got locked up on Javon Hagan, and a nice job of throw and catch there by James Morgan.
Both teams going with tempo. That's not a surprise with Bowling Green. That's what the Falcons do. And in fact, you mentioned Dino Babers in that quality win last night against Clemson. He brought that attack here, and after 2 seasons went on to Syracuse and got a big-time victory last night.
And you see the tempo now rotating out running backs as Cleveland leaves the game. And Claire comes in, the very talented freshman out of St. Louis, home run caliber hitter in a big game last week.
Yeah, what did the Ohio defense say about him? Even if there's no blocking, this guy makes people miss. Good safety valve catch on the near side of the field, good enough for a 1st down. 89, Derek Pudavong with a catch. Brad Allis defending. Ooh, sticks.
Here the Falcons offense comes back at the line in attack mode after a 1st down.
Claire makes a man miss, penalty flag on the play. He picks up 5, but let's see what the flag is all about. As Kurt Johnson, our MAC lead official today, ref, is going to signal holding.
Holding, offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. 1st down.
Now, even on that holding call, you saw a nice tackle by Javon Hagan, the safety, who had the targeting potential call earlier, but you saw the athleticism by Andrew Clare, a nice jump cut, turned perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, is able to escape, pick up a nice 7-8 yards. We'll see if he has any more here on 1st and 20.
That penalty on Tim McAuliffe, the veteran center in his 4th year.
Falcons doing something interesting here. 3 receivers to the short side of the field at the bottom of the screen, now motioning back and testing this Bobcats coverage to see what they're getting.
Now it's a 2-by-2 as they move Wilcox, and up the middle is Claire, and look at him bounce to the outside. One of the many reasons that head coach Mike Jinks is in love with this freshman.
You love a situation where you can hand it to your running back on 1st and 20, and he picks up a big game the next game. You saw him right there cross over Chad Moore, the 5th-year senior, and it's not until the true freshman Jamal Hudson forces him out of bounds here, almost down inside the red zone. Big run by Claire, and that's what he can give you.
Good for 33 from midfield. Morgan, broken up line of scrimmage.
Leon Aloese doing a great job getting some penetration again. He's giving the Falcons all they can handle inside. Lined up there Mike Jinks likes this offensive line. Tim McAuliffe, the Remington watch list center at the beginning of the season, very talented guy, getting lined up in there with Aloese.
By the way, if they're watching Aloese today in American Samoa, which is his home area, it's 7 hours behind. Morgan shoots one to the end zone and hits the goalpost from an area called Pago Pago, where it's typically tropical weather.
The island's so nice they named it twice.
Yeah.
Even better.
Didn't even think of that.
You saw a shot there to the end zone by James Morgan trying to target Datron Guyton, sitting right there around the 20-yard line. I think this is something Mike Jinks and the offense likes to do. They want to try to steal a quick touchdown, but the Bobcats were all over it there on the play action. Interestingly,
haven't been in the red zone very much this year, just 16 times, successful on 14 opportunities. Faced with a 3rd and 10. On the slant, incomplete. Intended for Wilcox.
Bobcats bringing a little bit of pressure there. They love bringing both backers inside. To see them forced to throw, they're trying to get Wilcox over the middle, and Morgan hangs in the pocket. Just doesn't get an opportunity to get the completion. It would have been short anyway, so a good job by the Bobcats defense forcing their second field goal attempt of the game.
And that was Kylan Nelson from the defensive secondary for the Bobcats with the hit. Jake Suter this time from 34 yards out, right hash. Right down the middle. Halfway through first quarter, it's Bowling Green 6, Ohio nothing. Bowling Green 6, Ohio nothing. Up in Mount Pleasant, Toledo leading Central Michigan 7-0. Some type of weather delay perhaps at Western Michigan. That game has been held up. Getting in the part of the first quarter, so look at James Morgan, who has led 2 scoring drives, capped by 2 Jake Suter field goals.
I know Mike Jinks is liking the scoring. They're enjoying moving the football. But later in the game, sometimes those red zone situations where you get bogged down and only get field goals can come back to bite you. 2 productive drives, only 6 points. 1 explosive gain away from the Bobcats potentially taking the lead in this game.
You know, head coach Frank Solich of Ohio would agree with that. Last year, Louis Zervos hit 29 field goals. Very effective and efficient at field goals, but too many 3-pointers as opposed to 6.
That's something Tim Albin has worked on a lot for this Bobcats offense coming in this year. Now 81% red zone touchdown efficiency. Very impressive stat.
And for the 3rd time today, a touchback by kicker Nick Fields. Burrows handling for Ohio State and then electing to stay put.
So now the Bobcats 75 yards to go. 0 for 2 on 3rd downs. Have not picked up a 1st down. No real offensive stats of note today, Jim. AJ Alouette's had a handful of carries for a handful of yards. Haven't really been able to push the ball down the field at all.
Well, we teased everybody with the drama of Michigan and Indiana. Michigan wins it 27-20 in overtime. Indiana had a 1st and goal in overtime at the 2 and failed to tie the game. Dorian Brown now the running back in place of A.J. Ouellette. He'll spell him from time to time. Play action, incomplete. Good defense at the 37-yard line by Cameron Jeffries, who is back and is healthy.
Great job by Cameron Jeffries here. As you see Rourke fake the run there, looking down the field, and a nice ball. Cameron Jeffries does a great job of undercutting Andrew Meyer on the post. That's a go-to, a drive starter for the Bobcats. You see it often, and Jeffries has been in his playbook.
Again, the fake to Brown, this time to the sidelines. And that'll bring us to 3rd and 10. That one intended for Andrew Meyer. They've targeted him a couple times. He typically is the slot receiver.
Typically the slot receiver, but what you've seen here is a little bit of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field, 2 receivers, and only 1 running back. A little bit of a change of formation there for the Bobcats. Now going back to their typical 11, getting a 3rd receiver now on the field, as it's an obvious 3rd and 10 passing situation. And look for the Falcons here. Look like they might be bringing a little bit of heat to force a quick throw.
Ohio again going 3 by 1 with its receivers. 3 to the near side.
What's up the middle?
Rourke stepping up. Incomplete again, intended for Meyer, nowhere within his space. And this Bowling Green defense, much maligned in the first 3 weeks, has held Ohio to a total of 10 yards in 3 possessions.
They've done a great job getting a little bit of pressure on Nathan Rourke right there, forcing him to the high throw on the sideline. And I like what they're doing here. Perry Alano brings some heat, a little bit of defensive line stunning up the middle, making the quarterback uncomfortable, tight press coverage, and forcing Nathan Rourke to be accurate.
Michael Farkas on for his 3rd punt today. Good Ohio roll for about 10 yards, and the football will be spotted just beyond the 30-yard line with 7:20 remaining in the first quarter. Bowling Green winless, Bobby, going into last week. You and I saw them a couple of weeks ago, and their defense becoming a little more stout than had been demonstrating earlier in the year.
A little more stout. This Bobcat defense is to help the offense here, get some nice field position for him, and a solid punt, which may be aided here by a little bit of holding on the Falcons as a flag was bombed in late in the play.
During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 17. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick, first down.
Penalties on Pete Norris, who plays on special teams. So from the 31, we'll bring it back to the 21.
And that's a much better field position for the Bobcats now, having 79 yards to defend. The problem is they haven't given up touchdowns, but they've allowed this Falcons offense and James Morgan to bleed the ball down the field. Need to get a 3 and out to give Nathan Rourke and the offense a little bit of room to work and maybe give him a better opportunity to get a score.
Morgan from Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin. You ask, where is that? Right in the throes of Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Big hitter on first down for Clare, who carries to the 28 and a pickup of 7 out of St. Louis, Missouri. He's been fighting a hamstring problem, but that was a couple of weeks ago and it's been long removed.
A nice job right there, pulling, fighting off the block. You see Chad Moore sliding and making the tackle, but you're doing a good job up front by BG getting some push, and then obviously Andrew Clare following his blockers.
One thing offensive coordinator Kevin Kilmore did last week with the help of Anthony Padron, they are co-coordinators, is that on 3rd and long, which is not the situation here, Bobby. They went with a lot of running plays that were very effective.
Trying to feed Clare again, and not this time, says Poling. The veteran middle linebacker stuffing it up and forcing a third and short here for the Falcons. Falcons only 1 of 3 on 3rd down, still better than Bobcats of 0-3. This would be a great opportunity for a stop to get a little momentum here going for Ohio.
And Bowling Green goes empty on 3rd down. Morgan sets up a screen. Teo Redding. Redding's got enough for the first down and a catch and run of 6.
I like that play call right there. Go empty, spread out the defense. You see the coverage that you're going to get, and you bring Redding right down the line of scrimmage and force those D linemen to retrace their steps. Good blocking out in front, and it's pretty well defended by the Bobcats as you see Poling retrace the steps, just only needing 3 yards, picking up about 4 or 5.
After that hit by Javon Hagan, good to see Redding back. Obviously concussion wasn't an issue. Cleveland nearly broke that one big time. He gets 9 on first down, and this Falcon offense is looking strong on those first down running plays.
Very active by Wyatt Shulman filling in for Kevin Robbins. He saved a huge gain right there by Josh Cleveland, who he was limping off earlier but appears to regain the pep in his step.
And again, the defensive end Robbins available for the second half. Morgan's got a man.
And that is going to haunt James Morgan right there. There's a coverage bust for the Bobcats as you see the Falcons go tempo on a 2nd and short situation, trying to steal a freebie here right around midfield. Gonna wish he had that back, and that's something that Jared Dagey, a little bit more accurate, maybe not quite the arm strength, but maybe he would have hit that one.
Intended for 89, Derek Pudavon. They needed 1 yard. They get more than that on the run by Josh Cleveland.
Evan Crouch coming up to make the stop, and a good job, but only needing a yard, picking up 2 or 3 for Cleveland, and a good job here by this Falcons offense to keep the chains moving.
Well, when you talked to the staff earlier this week, as we did about Cleveland, they said, well, it depends on pain tolerance, and obviously maybe a little motivation by Clare being his backup and looking good so far this year. He's been ready to go. Morgan with a man open, and that ball dropped.
Jim Burrow bringing a little bit of pressure off the backside there. Javon Hagan from his safety position, coming off the short side of the field and putting a helmet right in the back of Josh Morgan and forcing a little bit of an inaccurate throw.
Intended for Guyton, who comes out of the game.
One that Guyton probably should have caught and wishes he had back.
Yeah, Datron missed the game last week against Miami due to injury. Play action for Morgan against the blitz. Intended for Redding. It'll bring up 3rd and long. Teal Redding had a fabulous game last week. He had 8 catches for 197 yards, and they love getting him in those one-on-one matchups.
They do, and it's been physical out there on the outside. A lot of hand fighting as you see Redding coming out, but the Bobcats bringing some more pressure up the middle. That's something that they love. Jim Burrow, the defensive coordinator, wants to try to put pressure in the face of James Morgan.
Bowling Green is 3 for 5 on 3rd down for the season, just above 32%, which is 111 out of 120 teams in FBS play.
3 receivers to the wide side of the field, maybe going down near the bottom. Theo Redding, one-on-one situation.
Morgan's got time's got a man. Incomplete. Again, another catchable ball. Dropped by Guyton, brings us to 4th down.
I'm talking to Kevin Kilmer earlier this week. Datron Guyton, very talented. He's gotten open twice. 2 catchable balls, maybe a little high as you watch it in there right on his front shoulder. Had to slow down a little bit, but a good throw by James Morgan and having to move out of the pocket. And that's one that Datron Guyton has to come down with to keep these chains moving on 3rd down.
Brings on a very likely NFL draftee, Joseph Davidson. Top 5 in net punts for the year. Fair catch being called here at the 8th. That's exactly where he wants to place it. And Davidson again with another beauty of a punt. And that means Bowling Green's defense will be set up in a pretty good spot. He's 6'7". Davidson's got great hang time on the ball. And when you talk to folks at Ohio, they said, they remind him of Kevin Huber.
Oh, nice. It's a great comparison there. Tall, athletic guy. He's got that long leg, able to generate a lot of speed with that. And you see the punt average there, and his net punt is very good as well. And what it does, he hangs them high, allows the coverage team to get down there and pin them deep.
So this time, worst field position for the Bobcats in a 6-0 game. All the points by way of Jake Suter field goals for Bowling Green.
Bobcats coming out in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends again. I don't know if that's a receiver situation or this is by design of what they think they can take advantage of.
Bowling Green best of the country in forcing fumbles. Dorian Brown straight ahead, picking up 9 on 1st down. We're talking about Nathan Rourke. He spent 3 years of Canadian high school football and then spent a year in Alabama playing AA football, where he threw for 59 touchdown passes and ran for 7 more.
A little bit of tempo here going with the Bobcats again, getting to the line, checking out what they want, and then feeding Dorian again. Another big pickup here on 2nd and 1, and I think the Bobcats have found something here with this personnel grouping. 2 tight ends. It's spreading out this Falcons defense. Not a lot of teams run 2 tight ends anymore, and it looks like the Falcons are struggling to get lined up.
As a result, Brown has had 9 yards on each of his first 2 runs on this drive.
It's topping the total yardage from the first couple drives combined.
Easily. 18-10. Zone read to Brown this time. Dorian Brown wears 28. He's been suffering through shoulder problems, as had Julian Ross, who will not play today. Ross is out. And Poppy White, who was warming up prior to the game, listed as doubtful for this game, but we could see him possibly as well.
He looked dressed, running some routes, coming off a hand injury from earlier in the game against Kansas. Hasn't played here in a couple weeks, but Poppy White probably the best receiver on the Bobcats offense.
Pretty good punt returner as well. 2nd and 7.
Surveying the defense here, trying to find out the play that they want.
Back to Brown.
You see Frank Solich here wanting to pound the football inside with Dorian Brown, setting up a 3rd and 4. And this has been good for this Bobcats offense, flipping the field a little bit, giving their defense some time to work. And probably the biggest thing, Jim, is giving them some time to rest on the sideline.
Yeah.
After a couple 3 and outs, it's tough to keep getting up as a defender and having to run out on the field. Finally, for the first time, you see Poppy White on the sideline there. Doesn't really look engaged in the game as far as being able to go in and play. But this is the first time you've seen these Bowling Green defenders with their hands on their hips a little bit.
Need to pick up 4. Ohio very good on 3rd down this year at 50%. That's 8th best in the NCAAF FBS. Time for Rourke to throw the long ball. Harris back defending against Odom.
And he had plenty of time back there, and you see Rourke, I think he's a little frustrated because Odom looked to slow down a little bit when he didn't think he was getting the ball. You see plenty of time, surveying the field, goes wide side, and a good opportunity there. Odom, the big, tall receiver, he has Cameron Jeffries on him, the talented corner for the Falcons, and he looked like he overthrew him just a hair, but that's due to him slowing down. Can never give up on the route, Jim.
Nope. Michael Farkas is on a
punting tear.
Yeah, he probably will punt 20 times at this rate. Will Cox back to receive inside his 20. Good coverage by Ohio. And so this possession will start deep into Bowling Green territory with 2:07 to go. Let's talk about the Falcons defense again, limiting Ohio to no points in the first quarter and 1 first down.
Doing a great job there, and the biggest thing I look at, third down efficiency. If you want to judge an offense, you look at how they do in the red zone, how they do on third down, and how they do turning the football over. Bobcats haven't had any turnovers today, fortunately for them. Haven't been in the red zone, but 0 for 4 on third down. Good job by the Falcons defense, because that says you're getting it done on first and second down. And if you do get them in a third and short, you're coming up victorious, and the Falcons have done a great job of that today.
Bowling Green's had its troubles in the first half. Ohio's been quite good. Now the ball is loose. Ohio's on it. Let's see if it's a live ball. And in fact, the Bobcats get it. Quentin Poling, the middle linebacker, picks up Ohio's 8th turnover this year. They're looking to add to that. Josh Cleveland fumbled the ball away, and the Bobcats are going to get a good scoring opportunity here in the first turn of the game.
And you're going to see Cleveland again hit the middle. Good job. It looked like he hit the ground. Chad Moore coming over from his outside backer spot. I feel like they'll take another look at this, but that ball may have been sliding out, and he may have lost possession on his hip. What you thought may have been an easy overturn, I don't know if they're going to overturn this now after taking a second look.
Now, all scoring plays in college football and all change of possessions are reviewed. So this is already being looked at as we speak.
So you see the ball start to slide off of his hip right there.
Yeah.
I know Josh Cleveland's going to argue that he had possession of it, but the ball was moving enough.
This play of a fumble and recovery by the defense is under further review.
And officials now let this play out to see who maintains the recovery and who gets possession at the end. Bobcats coming up with it, Poling doing a great job hustling to the ball afterwards. And this may be just the shot in the arm that the Bobcats need if this play stands. Is you see that ball sliding out there on his hip at the very end. I mean, if I'm Josh Cleveland, I'm fighting for that all day, Jim, but I'll tell you, I'm 0 for 1 on the targeting, though. Maybe this will be a better opportunity for me to even up the score. I'm going to go fumble stands.
You're under a lot of pressure here, Bobby, because we have nobody to replace you at this point. Well, we talk about Bowling Green being so good at fumble recoveries this year, forcing fumbles, best in the country, but it's Ohio now.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Fumble and recovery by the defense. First down, Ohio.
At the Bowling Green 27, big play, first quarter.
With the stamp of the seal of confirmed, not just ruling stands, so that means that they saw irrefutable evidence at that point to rule it a fumble. And I wouldn't be surprised if this Bobcats offense comes out and tries to take a shot quickly to see if they can catch the Falcons napping. Sitting right here about the 27-yard line. It's something a lot of offenses like to do. You saw the Falcons run a little trick play there earlier in the game. Bobcats sitting here in 12 personnel, maybe a little play action, and try to steal a quick one with Bowling Green in man.
A.J. Ouellette is the running back. Rourke in the shotgun. Best scoring opportunity of the first half for Ohio as we wind down the first quarter.
Fake reverse. Look at that, A.J. Ouellette.
And he's still going with a football. Down to the 11-yard line, a pickup of 16. So Ohio's got a little trickery in its bag.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this, Joe. I'm done playing, but being a defender, there's a couple of things you'll learn about. Change of possessions. Teams always like to fire something up for you. See A.J. doing a good job selling the handoff there and turning it upfield, picking up some nice yards. Ohio's sitting here at about their own 13, 14-yard line looking to get a score.
Bobcats are very good in the red zone this year. 29 of 31 conversions, 94%. That's 13th best in the country. Ouellette trying to run right tackle to the 10-yard line.
Good job by the Falcon defensive line right there, stuffing it up. Not a lot of room for Ouellette to run inside.
You got Shannon Smith up there, 93. Kyle Jr., whose dad played at Alabama, 13 years in the league. Also Gus Schwederman and David Konowalski.
Some nice pedigree, very strong defensive line watching these guys. 93.5% scoring in the red zone, leading the MAC for the Bobcats. That's on all scoring. 81% of the time they get in the red zone, Jim. Touchdowns for the Bobcats. That's something that they wanted to emphasize over last year. Sitting at a 2nd and 8 could be a difficult stretch for them right now.
Snap to Rourke. Fake to Ouellette, looking to the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for 85, Brendan Cope.
Trying to run some double moves right there on the outside. We have a penalty. Looking to be holding against the Falcons. Not on Cope, but at the top against Andrew Meyer. They ran mirrored routes right there with Cope and Meyer. Both guys going inside the slant and then back outside.
That would give the Bobcats an automatic first down.
Half the distance and a first down.
Prior to the pass, holding. Number 2, half the distance to the goal line. The penalty results in an automatic first down.
So move the football to the 5. Now it's 1st and goal.
Clint Stevens getting a little bit nervous up there. They call that the sluggo. Inside, fake the slant, bounce it back out. And now Bobcats with 5 cracks at it from the 5. Much better situation.
A.J. Ouellette, the running back. 29 seconds left, first quarter. You know, on this particular lineup, they like to fake that zone read and have Rourke walk it in.
And that may be coming. A great job there by Kyle Jr. getting some penetration, forcing the cut by Ouellette. But I guarantee you each and every time Nathan Rourke is checking to see if there's a defensive end, checking him. If Schwederman or Konowalski is looking to see if he has the ball. If not, he's going to walk over and tell Tim Albin, hey, these guys are letting me go. Let's see if we can steal one quickly.
We'll have a couple of minutes to talk to Tim as the first quarter has ended. Homecoming 2017, Bowling Green 6, Ohio nothing. To the second quarter we go. Ohio scoring opportunity, 2nd and goal. Trailing by way of 2 Jake Suter field goals. 6-0. Jim Barber, Bobby Carpenter on ESPN. Rourke on the option. Pitch to Ouellette. To the pylon. Touchdown.
And that is why Frank Solich loves Nathan Rourke as their quarterback. He's a poised guy, gives them that athleticism. May not be a blazer, but when you're a quarterback and you can run in the red zone, it gives you the opportunity to get an extra man there because the defenses can't account for him.
Well, the preaching this week from Ohio to Rourke was when you have the football that close to the goal line, you are a running back, not a quarterback.
He does a good job there. You saw him dip in and out at the last second to draw the pitch defender in and then flip it so quickly to A.J. Ouellette to scoot in for the score.
Luis Zervos with the extra point. His 27th of the season, and Ohio has its first lead at 7-6. All set up by a fumble recovery, not by Bowling Green, but by Ohio, as this defense has come up with a huge play already.
So we take another look at this. You see Rourke right there, dip in, draw the pitch man, number 19. Dude does a great job there getting it out to A.J., and what a terrific job scooting in for the touchdown there. Terrific job by Rourke, and that is the athleticism that he gives you. And a good job blocking downfield as well by Brendan Cope, cleaning up the edge for him.
So Nathan Rourke, officially his sophomore season here, as mentioned from Ontario, Canada.
Babyface Canadian right there.
Yeah. Got a little Southern football in him, though, with that 1 year he spent in Alabama high school football prior to joining Ohio. That's a 4-play, 27-yard drive as Ohio able to convert 7 points by way of the BG turnover.
He's attacking a very talented player. Number 19 was Brandon Harris. Very athletic and did a great job of just luring him in there right at the last second.
So this time with wind, opportunity for Ohio to kick off. This one lands in the end zone and will not be returned. Clare with the catch. And Bowling Green from its own 25 trying to make it 2 wins in a row. Just a couple of weeks ago, this team winless through 5 and suffering through a difficult loss that we saw against Akron with a pick 6 thrown by Morgan late in the game. Did not allow him a chance to come back. And then last week, they come up with a big play by Harris of a 93-yard fumble recovery and return, and they have turned the season around.
Yeah, Akron's struggling here to start the season, but 2-0 now in the MAC. And just some stats from the first quarter, dominated by Bowling Green early on. Ohio having a number of 3-and-outs. Time of possession almost dead even, 7:24 to 7:36 in favor of BG. And 3 of 6 on third down, 0 of 4 on third down for the Bobcats. And now it's 7-6 to show for it.
Cleveland on the draw into that second line of defense. Gets plastered at the 40, but not after a pickup until after a pickup of 15. Javon Hagan hit him, brought him down, but Cleveland appears to be quite healthy after the injury suffered last week.
Nice job by the draw fake there. Cleveland being very patient. Hagan delivering the boom, but not before Cleveland uses his speed to get downfield.
Now he's going to run wide and actually loses ground on that play of a yard as Hagan hit him again. If you're just joining us, Hagan was involved in a vicious hit on Teal Redding in the first quarter, laid him out. Redding did get up and was okay and returned to the game. Hagan's hit was questionable in terms of targeting, but while targeting was ruled on the field, overturned by the booth.
And that's one that's tough. It didn't, to me, I didn't see the intent there by Hagan, but a huge opportunity there for the Bobcats to keep him, as we've been calling Hagan's name early and often.
Now Clare in the backfield, straight ahead. Also in that second line of defense, and a pickup of 15. This is a Bowling Green running attack, Bobby, that a couple of weeks ago, when we saw him against Akron, I mean, really non-existent, one of the worst in the country. What do you think has happened over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think their offensive line is doing a better job. They have Andrew Clare, who's an explosive threat, but if you get either him or Cleveland into the second level, both of those guys are athletic enough to make the big play.
Good running attack allows you to do a little play action. Morgan does exactly that, hitting Janarvis Pugh on the catch.
And that is what Mike Jinks was talking about this week. They wanted to establish the running game, get the Bobcats in more of a box-heavy run defense, get them singled up out there on the perimeter, and then be able to take advantage of those matchups, which you see what they're doing right now with James Morgan being accurate there on the sideline.
So this drive that started at the 25, now in Ohio territory, at the 32, this could go for a score. And out of bounds at the 3. Andrew Clare nearly got to the end zone, just 3 yards shy. Checks with the side judge just to make sure.
You see them Bobcats bringing pressure there. Poling runs right by Clare on a nice quick shot. And you watch Tyler Gullett chase him down here at the end of this play. Tyler Gullett filling in for Javon Hagan. As you see Clare in there for the score, running right through the middle of the line.
Well, that was a quick drive, wasn't it? 75 yards in very limited amount of time. In fact, less than 2 minutes. And now Bowling Green regains the lead at 12-7.
Using tempo after big plays, getting back up to the line of scrimmage, getting Clare going. Had a couple of pass plays, but most of that was dominated on the ground, and a good job by Clare finding pay dirt.
Yeah, this is Clare's second touchdown of the season. Off the Josh Davidson hold. The extra point being attempted here by Suter. So after the first quarter, there was pretty nondescript. The offenses have really picked up here to start the second.
Oh yeah, considering we're not even 2 minutes into the game here, two touchdowns, and you see Clare here finding pay dirt right over the middle of that Bobcats defensive line.
7 carries, 87 yards rushing for Andrew Clare for a Bowling Green team that's already rushed for 134.
Clare looking very athletic. You see him getting some attending to here. Looked hopefully just getting stretched out, maybe getting a little tape on him, but very explosive guys. You see him get in the open field and use that athleticism and finding up a touchdown with a nice short run there right over the middle. But he has everything you could ask for as a running back, and that's why he's challenging a fifth-year senior, Josh Cleveland, to split carries as only a true freshman. I know Mike Jinks very excited about him. They're happy to get him back after a pulled hammy against South Dakota earlier this season.
Let's look at Burrows there. And 87, Brian Long, off the field's kickoff. It is returnable by Burrows past the 5. Running to the wide side of the field and hammered down inside the 20-yard line.
A nice job by the Falcons on coverage, trying to bring it out, take it back to the wide side of the field. And sometimes it looks a little more tempting than you think. Let's go back and take a look at that last touchdown by Claire. A great job here, good push up front. You see the double teams on both sides, puts Claire dead on. Was fifth-year senior Grant Cunningham, backup safety, able to just power right through there and find his way into the end zone.
Let's give some credit to Trevor Roop, who made that tackle moments ago on Bowling Green special teams. Ohio will start this drive from its own 19. The quarterback is Nathan Rourke, the running back A.J. Olette.
Bobcats sticking with 2 tight end personnel after having a lot of success on the last drive.
As you mentioned, their MO is to run the ball. They'll run option again. Rourke into the secondary, still going with the football out of bounds, close to the 40-yard line. That's a pickup of 20.
And there you see a little cat and mouse game by Nathan Rourke, doing a good job getting the perimeter. This time, faking the pitch. Brandon Harris, the very talented backer, dives outside to pick up Olette after being burned for the touchdown, and you see 20-yard gain there by Nathan Rourke. That is why they call it the option, Jim.
Yeah.
And either or, the defender can't win unless you have them all covered.
Rourke avoids the sack and throws and picked off. That's Fred Garth.
You see a little bit of both right there. You see the greatness of Nathan Rourke and his athleticism, able to avoid the sack. And then the testament of every quarterback, never throw late over the middle of the field. And you watch him here doing a good job avoiding a couple of BG defenders, throwing over the middle, thinking that he could find a receiver. Can't get it. And a great job there by Fred Garth, closing it down, reading his eyes, sliding underneath late, and that ball was just a hair too late, and Fred Garth makes him pay.
Garth had a couple of picks last year. That's his first of 2017 as Nathan Rourke gets on the phone. And that now for this Bowling Green defense is the 15th turnover force this year. They're already in the top 10, Bobby, coming into the day.
You see on that drive, one great play by Nathan Rourke and then one play that he wishes he had back.
Josh Cleveland made a man miss, but they strung that play out for a loss.
Doing a great job there. Javon Hagan calling his name again, forcing through to make Cleveland bounce that thing wide before he's finally corralled there by Poling and Wyatt Shulman.
Hagan from a family of 6 brothers and sisters, sports management major, who had a pick last year in the win against Bowling Green.
Very active safety, very talented guy in the back end.
On 2nd and 12, Morgan to Cleveland as a safety valve. Let Josh do the rest of the work. And he might have had the first down if the turf monster didn't get a hold of him.
Trying to cut it back there, and a good job holding the ball. Nice protection by the Bowling Green offensive line to give James Morgan some time, allowing Josh Cleveland to leak out late as the defender over there, Chad Moore, was squeezing up a little bit too tight on number 21, Scott Miller, the talented slot receiver. Loses track of Cleveland, gets to the outside and gets a 10-yard gain.
Bobby good for 10, now 3rd and 2. Like a pistol formation there for Cleveland straight ahead, and he is going to be hit and he is going to be dropped. Hagan was the second man to get to him.
First was Evan Crouch, the outside linebacker. Bowling Green going with a 2 tight end set right there, trying to power it up against the Bobcats. Crouch creeping in, doing a great job. But inside, Cleon Aloise and Tony Porter stuffing up the middle for no seams. Now Mike Jinks looks to be going for it here, Jim, on this 4th down. After being stuffed kind of in no man's land. Big 4th down for the Bobcats.
What do you think? Good decision?
I don't think there's any other option. I think he would like to be a little closer, not lost a yard. But when you have a great slot receiver right there, like Scott Miller catches it, now the spot's going to be everything.
And it's going to be close.
Oh, wow.
Didn't make it.
They're saying the side judge is saying he didn't make it. I wouldn't be surprised if this is reviewed or they at least bring the sticks in. But a great pitch and catch there by James Morgan, but a veteran like Scott Miller, a junior, very talented guy, you see him catch it, you think that he would run that route just a half yard longer to be able to pick that thing up.
Well, Josh Hagan was helping the officials on the play. No argument for Mike Jinks, but again, all change of possessions are reviewable by the booth.
A good job by Jalen Fox, the corner, sealing down on him right there, forcing it to be a difficult decision. Officials kind of hanging over the ball to see if this is going to be reviewed, and it looks like it is.
The runner being short of the line to gain is under further review.
I'll tell you this, though, watching that replay, it looks like they had a pretty good spot. The official was right on it, and when you see the head coach not be all that upset and it's on your sideline,
good point.
I don't think he's going to burn too much of his goodwill with these officials arguing a call that he probably saw as 50-50 at best.
Now that was right in front of head coach Mike Jinks. And you know, if Miller had made the first down, that Jinks would have been jumping up and down.
But it's a nice ball there by Morgan. He puts it on his outside shoulder. And I think Miller could have maybe ran the route a half yard deeper, but it's impressive there by Jalen Fox, the junior out of Cincinnati, Wyoming, coming up and forcing him right out of bounds.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Ohio.
Bobby, after a rough start for you personally, you have hit the last two. You're back in the good graces here.
Back in the game. 0 for 1, now 2 of 3, feeling a little better about it, and it's confirmed again, which...
I think the problem is you weren't taking this broadcast as seriously at the beginning. You were looking ahead to next week. Isn't that what we always accuse teams of?
Or maybe last night thinking too much. I had to camp out with my kids.
But you have roared back.
It's good.
And the problem for Bowling Green is unable to take advantage of that pick by Fred Garth.
Bobcats stopping the sudden change here. Getting back to the ground.
And Dorian Brown for the first down is still with a football. Brown carries a defender inside the 35-yard line.
Did a great job there by Dorian Brown, channeling a little bit of his inner Andrew Clare right there, busting through, and I believe he had a one-on-one right there with Torian Hampton and lowered the boom to finish that runoff on a big gain.
Good for 30 yards. We approach 10 minutes for the first half. Ohio trailing by 6, but on the move.
Slowing the tempo down a little bit. Taking the shot.
Man coverage, end zone, incomplete.
That was a great ball.
In the hands for the moment of Brendan Cope. But back defending, number 18, Cameron Jeffries, who had to work through an ankle injury a couple of weeks ago, had a special game against Michigan State. And this is why they love having 18 back in the lineup.
You see him very talented. He's their best cover guy. Hangs in there. Great ball by Nathan Rourke. And this is a tough catch by Cope, but he puts it right where it needs to be. Great timing there by Jeffries. And that's one that could go either way, as you see Jeffries make the play and Cope not be able to come down with it.
On second down, Rourke looking to his right, rolling to his left. Gives it up to Brown, able to break a tackle. So the first reception of the game for Dorian Brown.
A good decision right there by Nathan Rourke. I think he had someone down the field. Over the middle is a little bit late. He learned his lesson from last time. Can't get it all back at once. So we're seeing a stoppage play here.
Both of these teams have very good special team units and good field goal kickers. So right now with the wind, not particularly strong, but at the back of Ohio, this would be, if it goes to a fourth down, a makeable field goal for Louis Zervos.
But a third and long, Ohio on this drive, getting out of the 2 tight end sets, going to 3 wide receivers, having some success running the ball now, changing up their personnel groupings. As you see Cam Odom down here at the bottom of the screen, locked up in some man coverage. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go to him and iced up.
Another 3-by-1 set.
Pressure coming.
Rourke his own number, had nowhere to go. 55, Colby Coleman, who plays that nickel spot from talent-rich Hoover, Alabama, with a tackle.
Great job there by Coleman, icing it down. But this is a design draw. You see Rourke set up. They beat the first line, and it looked like Dorian Brown could have picked up Coleman, and if he did, there would have been a lot of room. Pressure's coming. Sometimes that's the best opportunity to run the draw because you're able to crease the defense and pick up a big game, but could not get through that second level of linebackers.
Ohio's going to use a timeout here to decide what to do on fourth down. The position of the football is at the 33. Louis Zervos can kick it that long, but let's see what Ohio decides. when we come back. Ohio Bobcats are 4 for 5 on 4th down, but they're not going to take that chance. And in fact, they're going to look to pooch this thing inside the 10, possibly the 5-yard line.
And this is going to be a very tenuous situation trying to pooch it in there. I understand what Frank Solich was doing. They called the draw on 3rd and 8, hoping that in worst case they pick up a couple yards, get to the 30, make it a more manageable 47-yard field goal. Didn't anticipate losing yards. And I think it's a smart play to play field position right here with how well their defense has been playing.
Low snap Farkas.
Nice
high
punt.
end over end, and they're going to be able to pin this one at the 2-yard line.
It's great execution there by the Bobcats as you see Kylan Nelson catching that out of the air, pinning now the Falcons inside their own 3.
Run by quarterback James Morgan. Morgan, we mentioned, has grown up in the area of Green Bay. As you take a look at Farkas.
The end over end, and this looks almost just like a pass as you see Nelson get down there, track the ball, catch it, not carried into the end zone at the end. Perfect execution there by the Bobcats.
And for Michael Farkas, who bombed one last year against Bowling Green of 74, sometimes it's the short ones that allow your defense to tee off here and maybe force a big turnover.
When you're sitting there on the 35-yard line, you either have a 15-yard punt or you can have a great opportunity like this to pin them inside the 5. Great execution by the Bobcats.
Fake declare. Morgan's got a man down the field. Intended for the speedy Jarvis Pugh, who couldn't quite catch up with it. And if he had, might have taken it to the house.
He had Jalen Fox beat. And I love the aggressive play calling out of the end zone. Maybe go a hard count, fake some play action, anticipating the run, take the shot down the field against a run defense. And it looked like Pugh could have potentially had that if he may have laid out as he had Jalen Fox on his back hip.
Morgan on 2nd down, picked off. That'll be a touchdown.
Brad Ellis. That is his 2nd pick 6, Jim, of the season. Had one against Eastern Michigan a couple weeks ago, the only Bobcats touchdown in regulation before going to overtime. And it looked like a little miscommunication there between James Morgan and his intended receiver running down the field. Ellis gets eyes back to the quarterback, sinks down, and has a nice pick 6 to tie this thing up.
Because you know, even if it's the wrong route run, that's a dangerous pass deep in your own territory.
It is throwing the out here. See if they can take the lead with an extra point.
By Louis Zervos, Ohio converts another Bowling Green turnover into points. That means all 14 points today by way of turns. And in fact, last year, 4 Bowling Green mistakes resulted in 17 points. It was difference in that game. 8.5 to go, first half.
You see James Morgan sitting in the pocket. I think he thought Datron Guyton was running the out. Brad Ellis gets his eyes back, sinks in. You see single high safety here is pretty much manned up on the outside. And this looked just how it did against Eastern Michigan. Brad Ellis getting picked on early, but his 2nd pick 6 of the season. And right there, Jim, that is called a boomerang.
Yeah.
And the quarterback doesn't want to throw too many of those.
It's interesting, too, that Ohio coming into the game, Bobby, just 7 turnovers forced, now 2 that have resulted in a couple of scores.
And Bowling Green has been the master of taking the football away. Got a +4 margin coming in. Bobcats giving it up 4 times last week. Doing a much better job taking care of the ball. Now taking advantage of it on the other side on defense.
Well, credit Michael Farkas with that great punt down to the 2-yard line that led to the Bowling Green error, turnover.
Terrific execution there.
A couple of score updates. Akron, Western Michigan still delayed by a rainstorm. That's a big conference showdown as we show you Ellis's pick just moments ago for 6.
Bobcats bringing some pressure in the middle. Morgan with plenty of time, and that's just a miscommunication right there between Guyton, who we've watched drop a couple of balls today, now involved in that. And I can't imagine that wide receivers coach and co-offensive coordinator Kevin Kilmer's too happy with the situation right there.
How much responsibility does the quarterback bear in that? I mean, a lot of people will blame the quarterback, but then
it's a timing route, and you have to throw it out of the break before he even turns. If you don't, it has a good chance of getting picked off anyway, so you're throwing it blind, and I can't necessarily blame James Morgan on that.
Cleveland dropped for a loss of a yard, 2nd and 11 as this Ohio defense pumped up now, helping its team to a 14-13 lead.
we haven't seen a lot of T.O. Redding since he got that hit on him in the first half, and that's maybe a route that they would have wanted to run to him, if he wasn't nicked up.
Here's Cleveland bouncing to the outside and met at the 31-yard line to bring up a 3rd and manageable. Good stick by Javon Hagan once again, who's had a very active first half.
That'll be his 6th tackle, and you want to talk about maybe the play of the game was the targeting that wasn't keeping him in there, as he's had a number of big hits, forcing a 3rd and 4 as Cleveland gets to the outside, uses that speed before Hagan lowers the boom.
All second quarter scores: Miami 7, Kent State 3 late second. Northern Illinois 14, Buffalo 13 with 2 minutes to go in the second. Now at the half, Toledo leading Central Michigan 17-0.
3 receivers at the bottom of the screen. 3rd and 7 now on 3rd downs for BG.
Morgan trying to convert, appears to have the first down by about a half a yard.
It doesn't look like Miller was going to make the same mistake he made on 4th, getting right to the sticks where he needed to, the 35-yard line, before making the catch and turning around.
Well, how much does the loss or lack of appearance, because Redding was shaken up earlier in the game, matter in this game?
I think it matters a lot because Redding was developing into their go-to guy on the outside, with Miller being the slot. Without that guy on the perimeter, you see Guyton maybe not as experienced in there, not as familiar or comfortable with James Morgan, and being forced into action, and sometimes you have miscues like that.
First down, Morgan with pressure to the sidelines to Miller. Like a running play on first down, good for 3 yards, 2nd and 7. Bowling Green has all 3 timeouts remaining in the first half, and we'll get the ball to start the second half.
Well, 6.5 minutes, Jim. You don't even need timeouts for that.
That's true.
There might be 4 more possessions in this game. It's an eternity.
That's at least an eternity, right? On second down, right up the middle. Huge hole for Clare. Actually getting time to ask his blockers to move for him. He was pointing to Guyton to lead the way, and he picks up the first down from the 39 to the 40. That's good for 24 yards.
And who's there to make the tackle? None other than the safety, Javon Hagan, who has been all around the ball, but a great job by Clare getting through that first line, using the speed, breaking some tackles, and a big gain. You don't need to have the explosive gains passing when you can run the ball like that.
Morgan with a clean pocket intended for Guyton through his hands. He's had a challenging first half, has he not?
It's very kind of you, Jim, to put it like that. I'm sure this is not going to be a Sunday film session that he'll be one of
not likely the word
in.
the coach will be used is challenging, right?
Bobcats bringing some pressure on that last play. 3 receivers to the short side of the field, and Guyton's the open guy. I mean, I don't know what James Morgan should really do to throw a better football.
Fake to Cleveland, man open at the 25. This time it's Morgan's fault. Unable to hit number 14, Janarvis Pugh. It'll bring us to 3rd and 10.
And you go back to the drop there by Guyton. Most cases he catches that, probably picks up 5, 6, 7 yards. You're sitting at a 2nd and 3. It's a much different conversion, even if you don't do anything on 3rd down, as opposed to where they're at now. I like Pugh at the bottom of the screen, iced up in some man coverage.
Check that previous pass intended for 81, Tristan Davis. So at this particular point, is Morgan changing the play or just dummying up?
I think he's changing the play based upon the single high coverage. Look at him going to the bottom of the screen there, wanted to hit Pugh.
And throws this one almost in the stands. Got some elevation on that. Trent Smart on the defense for Ohio. That was intended for Wilcox. That brings us to 4th down, and arguably the best punter in the country, Joseph Davidson, coming on.
And we'll see if he can replicate what the Bobcats were able to do on a plus 50 punt in your own end. You can either pick up 20 yards of field position here if you bang in the end zone, or possibly you might be able to pin him inside the 10 like the Bobcats did successfully. So we'll see if he's able to convert this.
Well, the Bobcats say they turned around their punt gun, if you will, to practice for Davidson. Ball fumble. Bowling Green may be on it. There's a flag as well on the play. Let's see who has the ball.
Well, I think Kylan Nelson has been living right.
Wow.
Because that fell out in a slew of Bowling Green defenders there. Looked like they may have been a little close anyway, but he was very casual with that fair catch, to say the least.
Kicking team, number 48, 15-yard penalty.
They're going to get 15 yards, so that wouldn't have held up anyway if it was a loose ball recovered by the opposition.
And one of them may have bumped him, but I thought it was pretty good coverage. I just think Kylan Nelson at this point, you watch how casual he was with the ball. The fair catch kind of cruises into it. There was no contact.
Not from that angle anyway.
I don't think there has to be contact. Maybe if it's just you're within the halo situation there, but Kylan Nelson probably getting an earful. Catch the ball, look it in, even if it's a fair catch, but able to come up with it anyway. So if there wasn't a penalty, Mike Jinks would have been beside himself. You have 5 Falcons there and 1 Bobcat, and he comes up with the ball.
I always feel for the players there because that's a one-way conversation on the phone. Here's Dorian Brown in the backfield for the quarterback. Rourke on the move and firing. And is that picked off? Yes. Marcus Milton on the defense for Bowling Green, forcing the turnover. And this game goes back and forth in terms of field possession here in the first half.
For a guy that had been so careful with the football through his first couple starts, last week throwing a pick, having a couple fumbles, this week throwing his 2nd pick of the game. This time it's Marcus Milton, as you see Nathan Rourke rolling out, trying to squeeze it in there to Andrew Meyer, and a good job undercutting the play by Marcus Milton, the Pick Central Tiger out of Central Ohio.
That's 16 turnovers now forced by this Falcon defense. We're just at the halfway point of the season. And look at the field position for Bowling Green from the Ohio 34.
And look for him to maybe take a shot in this situation, try to get the easy score. Bobcats 2 safeties deep, and they run the draw.
Which has also been an effective play for them. Continue to pick up 8-9 yards on first down. This carry by Josh Cleveland in the book on Cleveland. Terrific vision and very good at making people miss.
Big play, open field guy, and I think Jim Burrow had seen enough of the big play shots on change of possession, playing 2 safeties very deep. And now we're watching Loy here in a quarterback. Now for the Falcons, big runner, maybe he'll try to use it himself.
And able to carry for the first down as he picks up 3. He's the redshirt freshman from Buckeye Central High School, New Washington. He comes out. James Morgan back in. Jared Dagey, who suffered a back injury a couple of weeks ago in a game we saw against Akron, is on the sidelines today, but the feeling about bringing him back any time sooner than he needs to is they're not in favor of it.
No, they want to rest him up, and almost as if they're using Lloyd like a wildcat quarterback on 3rd and short situations.
Morgan was looking for Josh Cleveland, who they released out of the backfield, and instead he is sacked.
By Andrew bringing the pain from his defensive tackle position. Bobcats getting a little heat. Jim Burrow wanted to spice it up there on first down. You see the linebackers blitzing up the middle, but Payne with the good rush right over top of Taborn from Sidney and getting the sack.
16th sack of the year by the Ohio Bobcats. Loss of 4 on first down. Again on the draw to Cleveland.
Payne involved in that one more time, forced him to stutter his feet before Chad Moore, the 5th-year senior, can come sliding in.
I asked Jimmy Burrow, the defensive coordinator for Ohio, earlier in the week, is Cleveland hard to pick up in that backfield because he's 5'8"? He said, oh no, we see him on film.
Well, you can see him on film, and Jim Burrow gets to look at him from up top. It's a lot tougher when you're a linebacker there and they've got these big, tall offensive linemen. You know, he can kind of hide in behind them. That's why they run those draws, and it's very effective. Now we see Claire come in to spell him a little bit, and they like to run the draw on 3rd and long, but this may be a little longer than they're comfortable with. Or not.
Look at this, Claire. Very close to the first down. You know what? That was a popular play last week, Bobby, in the win over Miami. We had a situation where it's 3rd and 20 and got a first down on a draw play.
Well, 3rd and 15, and they pick up 13 now. And I'm surprised Mike Jinks didn't go for this. Not a big move fan here by the crowd, but you see Claire, they're bursting through the line. Bobcats are selling out to go get a sack. And good job by Claire using that speed. And now we'll see right here if Suter can nail his 3rd field goal of the game.
Yeah, maybe the fact they have a chance to take the lead is what matters here. This is 32 yards for Jake Suter, who's already hit 2. .237 remaining first half. Bowling Green 16, Ohio 14. Two and a half hours away from us at Western Michigan. Game postponed today between Akron and the Broncos due to flooding on the field. They had a monster rainstorm, And now the decision will be when to play the game. That's a critical game in the MAC because those are two of the conference favorites. Moments ago, Jake Suter, his third field goal of the game on a 6-play, 19-yard drive. Bowling Green regains the lead. Ohio will get the ball back with 2 timeouts to play with.
And a great job by the Bobcats defense there. It's the second turnover they've had, but doing a good job in sudden change situations, forcing the Falcons into a field goal situation, almost giving up a big 3rd and 15, but for not. And now just clean, hanging on there, only down 2.
Burrows and Long are deep. This is Burrows from past his 5. Can't even get to the 20 as Bowling Green's special teams coverage has been solid. On the play for the Falcons, 26. Elijah Ballou.
A great job there coming off the short side of the field. Corralling the Bobcats, giving them a long field to work with on their own 18-yard line. 82 yards to go with only 2:33 left in the half.
By the way, that Western Michigan-Akron game, assuming weather lets up and the field's playable because it's flooded right now, that game will be played tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time.
That's something the coaches love. Cut a day out of your week, add a night in a hotel.
And worse yet, you can't watch the NFL for part of the day.
Well, those coaches aren't watching the NFL anyway.
Yeah,
they're working all day.
Well, the players would probably enjoy it. Bobcats again, 2 timeouts to work with. Go to A.J. Olette on first down.
A nice job, A.J. Olette, finding a little hole, but not too much before it's filled up there by the Bowling Green defense.
And they're going to start to move a little bit on offense. Frank Soldich's team has gone with, as Bobby mentioned at the beginning, tempo today.
They're picking it up a little bit, wanting to get this thing going. Pressure by the Falcons.
Rourke at second down's got his man. Good enough for the first down.
Right there at the sticks, and a nice job by Andrew Meyer. Contested ball catch, tight coverage. Rourke puts it right where it needs to be on the curl. Good enough for a first down. Now I see him starting to get going a little bit.
Ty Redding from the secondary makes the tackle. Ball at the 29. Bowling Green gets the football to start the second half. Dump down to Olette past the 35. Clock moving with a $1:40.
And that's a very smart play there by Nathan Rourke. Doesn't look like much, just a little check down to Olette for about 3 yards, but he picks up 7. You're facing a 2nd 3.
Now Rourke to the sidelines. Always an effective pass. Brendan Cope, effective because it stops clock. Good enough for another first down. So Ohio right now doing a little nickel and diming.
They are. And talking about stopping the clock, they've got 1:25, still have their 2 timeouts left. They're sitting in a good situation here, but getting out of bounds allows them to reset, first down, and figure out their plan of attack. I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple plays to watch them take a shot at the end zone and try to steal one in a little soft prevent defense.
With the wind at their back, should they need a field goal.
Pressure coming for the Falcons.
Rourke throwing and nearly picked off. That would have been the 3rd turnover of the game, and Cam Jeffries thought he should have had it.
Flag on the play as it looked like it may be a little bit of a late hit on the quarterback. Unsportsmanlike conduct, unfortunately, on Konowalski.
And Jeffries hobbling off a little gingerly right now. Here's Kurt Johnson.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 8. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's a rough play here for the Falcons. You see Jeffries almost have an interception to end the drive. Drops the pick. He has to come out. He's their best cover guy. And on top of that, Jim, you give him a 15-yard roughing the passer. Yeah. That's something Mike Jinks is going to be happy about.
Well, turnovers have plagued both of these teams. Periolano's the defensive coordinator for the Falcons. Konowalski out for the moment. Football now at the 43.
Bringing in Clint Stevens up there at the top. Veteran who has a lot of starting action.
Rourke stepping up and firing. He's got a man. Complete. Andrew Meyer. This time they do hook up.
And a great job right there by Tim Albin. Understanding Jeffries went out of the game. We're going to find the guy that just went in for him. He's their best cover guy and see if we can't take advantage of him. Andrew Meyer getting on top of him on the 9 route. And Nathan Rourke stepping up in the pocket and delivering a nice ball in stride.
Good for 36. So another red zone opportunity. First and goal for the Bobcats. 2 timeouts remain for them.
Looking to the sideline. Maybe a little pressure for the Falcons.
Running option to the near side.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Rourke. It's what he does so well on a goal-to-go situation.
And that's a very tough play to defend. You get the extra player down there as the quarterback, and there's no answer for it. You have to beat a block. Unfortunately, none of the Falcons were, and Nathan Rourke scoots into the end zone. Look at him. Rourke sitting here on this big pass down the field, sitting in the pocket, doing a good job. Meyer getting on top of Clint Stevens, which leads to this. The option to Ouellette. Little dipsy-do there, and poor Brandon Harris. Defending MAC Defensive Player of the Week, can't win. 2 guys on him. He chose Rourke early, chose Ouellette, choosing Rourke. Touchdowns and big plays for the Bobcats.
In the meantime, Bobby, we have an injured player at the goal line. It's a Bowling Green Falcon. Cannot determine the number yet. You may remember that Teal Redding was knocked to the ground by Javon Hagan in the first quarter and took a long time getting up, but was okay. But we have not seen much of Teal since then.
We have not. He did come back into the game, but hasn't been very effective, or really hasn't even been targeted since then.
So much concern in the game of football now with players becoming concussed. And there is a protocol, a procedure that medical staff runs through, as well as what a player must undergo during the course of the week if he's determined to have a concussion in order to return.
And the concussion protocol involves you passing some, they call them the impact test. You go online, you got these programs you can run through to see how fast you can solve some problems.
Looks like Kyle Jr., 95.
A big defensive tackle, playing very well today, running down the line on that option. They feel like they're looking at his ankle down there.
Remember his dad, EJ, at Alabama?
Big time player. Mike Jinks is coming on the field. They're walking off now. Hopefully he is not too seriously injured.
So if it's not the head, I certainly would think that's better news.
Look to be testing that ankle with that situation. It's interesting, the Bobcats have been a feast and famine today on some of these drives. Either they go 3 and out, or they big play it, put some plays together, and go get a score. As we see Junior now limping off the field, looking to be fairly okay, but not putting a lot of weight at all on that left foot.
Getting help from Shannon Smith and Dave Konowalski.
As you see him running down right at the edge of the screen, trip.
Actually, that might be Elijah Cunningham assisting him.
Oh, rolled over right there at the very end. Got a little friendly fire there at the end of the play. Looked like Coleman potentially rolled over his foot. And for big guys, the foot injury is not a great situation. They have a lot of weight they have to put on those feet to transition and move.
Back to live action. Louis Zervos for the extra point. Snap by Jake Hale and the hold by Michael Farkas. 21-16 with $1:07 to go. Now Bowling Green still has 3 timeouts in the bank, and the Falcons will get the football to start the second half.
You know, the Bobcats still have 2 timeouts in the bank. We may have 2 possessions here, Jim, if we're lucky.
You know what? That first quarter was dull compared to this second quarter. It's been rather lively.
It really has. The Bobcats putting 3 TDs on the board in the second quarter. Really doing a good job seizing momentum. See the Falcons adding another touchdown and a field goal to have 16, but the story of the day is the red zone scoring opportunities for the Bobcats. They've been down there 3 times. 3 times they've come away with touchdowns. And unfortunately for the Falcons, coming away with 3 field goals down when they're getting inside their own 30-40 yard line.
This has been a lengthy first half, an hour 40, and we still have, as Bobby mentioned, between the 2 teams, 5 timeouts remaining.
Can't take them with you into halftime, Jim.
No.
Hopefully they take a couple for us, though.
Sometimes coaches forget about that, too. So a 7-play, 82-yard drive and $126. And Nathan Rourke scooting for his 10th touchdown of the year. He was tied for 4th coming into today. And touchdowns by way of rush. From the 3, and not a good return decision there.
And that is the worst thing you can do as a returner, catching it, running to the sideline. So they teach you as a returner, if it's going to the sideline, if you can go and put your foot on the sideline stripe and establish yourself out of bounds, Jim, and touch the football, it's concluded as a penalty. You'll get the 35-yard line. You see it now hooking hard over there to our right side. Claire, just a true freshman, not understanding that, probably want to let that one go into the end zone. Even better case, it kicks out of bounds. You get it to 25. This is a situation where if they have to throw an incompletion, the Bobcats may be using 2 timeouts to try to get it back.
They're going to be conservative, go to Cleveland. Ohio can stop the clock twice. And even with the lack of a 3rd timeout, will likely get the ball back with some time remaining.
Now, the one ace you could say that Bowling Green has is Joseph Davidson, which could be able to pound the ball now to the opposite 30.
True.
Which Ohio then would probably have about 25 seconds and no timeouts. But if for some reason he hangs one high, because he would be kicking into the wind in this situation, if the Bobcats can get to the 30-yard line, you're looking at a 47-yard field goal, and that would probably only be 20 yards in a couple plays.
They're bleeding this clock right now for all it is worth. I don't understand this.
That doesn't make any sense, the fact that they would use one right now as opposed to using it right at the beginning of the play, saving that time, using it again.
Well, in effect, that means they're not going to get the ball.
They're not, because I'm not trying to figure out that it doesn't make any sense, because they don't have to throw it on 3rd down. They can run it now and run the clock out, and it's over since they don't have a 3rd timeout. So
you would expect Bowling Green to use a timeout there, because this would avoid a 5-yard penalty, because the play clock was running down.
If I'm Bowling Green, I'd take 2 knees and get out of here.
Yeah. So if that is accurate, as indicated by Kurt Johnson, Bowling Green doesn't need to run the football. Quarterback can take a knee.
On the Bobcats, I'm playing a little deeper than that.
Sure.
I'll give them anything. Last thing you want is a big play.
They will put the ball on the ground instead to Cleveland. He'll run some precious time off, and that should likely be the last play of the first half, pending, although Ohio does have a timeout can use. The clock is still moving, by the way. Now it's stopped at 16.
Oh, they can't stop it again anyway, so it doesn't matter. If they pop a knee right here, it's 3rd down. It goes to 4th down, and they don't need to run another play.
I'm not sure why Ohio did what it did.
Frank Solich is a veteran coach. He's coached a long time, and there's times where it escapes you, the situation. You don't realize what it is and where they're at. And you got the touchdown, and probably think, let's get to halftime. I don't think anybody thought you were going to pin them back on the 3-yard line with the kickoff either.
Capital One halftime report. Gene Wojciechowski with the story on sideline props. Rather entertaining.
For a 10-second runoff. We are now getting the options from the coaches.
Defensive injury results in a 10-second runoff if, in fact, Bowling Green elects to take that.
And I can't imagine why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a great way, though, to stretch this first half out.
Got a plane to catch or something?
I've got nowhere to go but here, Jim. I'm just excited to watch this great game that we're getting.
Maybe the injury is to Crouch as he is being worked on.
Just the length of these college football games at certain points in time gets ridiculous. I mean, I love, 7 overtimes. I can handle 5.5 hours.
Ohio has chosen to use their 3rd and final timeout to prevent the 10-second runoff.
The ultimate irony in that, though, is you can't stop it again. They can take a knee.
Yeah.
16 seconds runs off the clock, and it's the end of the half.
You just mentioned 7 overtimes. Western Michigan had that game last week. Today postponed, so
sure.
What a week and a half the Broncos have had, huh? Under new management this year as P.J. Fleck has gone on to Minnesota.
Well, from the looks over there, they better be rowing the boat in Western Michigan because the field, when you talk about the field being underwater.
It's been perfect for P.J. Fleck.
It looked like there was a moat around the field for the Broncos.
We'll watch out for Gators here. They'll play that game, Western Michigan and Akron tomorrow. Akron leads the MAC East with a record of 2-0 in this young part of the season. Jim Barber, Bobby Carpenter, this first half has not lacked for many things. 4 turnovers.
Duration is one of them.
Yeah. And this will end the first half. Great to have you with us, wherever you're watching today on ESPN, as we'll get to halftime and Gene Wojciechowski in the Capital One report. At the break, it's Ohio 21 and Bowling Green 16 in the battle of MAC Eastern Division opponents.
Welcome to the Capital One Halftime Report.
No need to wait until the postseason to win an award. The proliferation of sideline props as a motivational tool gets the job done during the game. Here's Gene Wojciechowski of College Game Day.
Meet college football's newest sensation.
Cam, can we get the trash can mic'd up, please? Thank you. Sorry it's taking so long. Usually just got to get everything kind of calibrated here.
Coach just brings out this trash can that said HTB on it. We're like, what is that? We're like, what is HTB? And like hunt the ball. Every single time we get a turnover, I want you guys to run over, slam the ball in this basket, and we're gonna pile up all these turnovers that we're getting.
It's a fun thing. Our players look forward to it, and then we always evaluate how they're able to put the ball in the trash can.
My big moment with the trash can for this year was Georgia Tech.
Oh, we got it, bro! Missed the stuff, got the ball.
I didn't miss. I brought the trash can down because I dunked it too hard.
Motivational props are nothing new in college football. But leave it up to Clemson's Dabo Swinney to combine football with poker's most famous phrase.
All in chips. The last thing we do when we leave the locker room is we just throw the chips in the bucket.
The mindset of being all in for your teammates, all in for your brothers, all in for the school. A lot of people might think it's silly or whatever, but I definitely take it serious.
The chips don't pack the punch of Syracuse's turnover gloves, Miami's hit stick, or UMass's very own Swami.
UMass's special assistant coach is the Swab.
Motivation comes in all shapes and sizes. How about the fashion statements made by Alabama's takeaway belt, the Hurricanes turnover chain,
Well, Pinckney gets the hottest piece of jewelry in South Florida.
or Oregon's special teams championship belt, which is given preferential treatment come bedtime. For canine lovers, there's the Bulldog spiked look for turnovers, while Marshall's defensive player of the week gets to woof it up.
It's just about playing with a high level of intensity and toughness in practice and in the games.
But no prop this season has gotten more airtime than Tennessee's 8-pound, 32-gallon hunt-the-ball trash can. What's the worst part about the trash can?
It gets heavy. There's no doubt. It gets heavy. Sometimes it gets a little unbalanced.
It's become a part of you, hasn't it?
It has. It has. Me and the HTV can are one.
The trash can has been mocked, and its very existence questioned.
What is this all about? It would have been one thing if it was behind the defensive bench, but the guy held it over his head the entire game.
But win or lose, the can has a fan. So, Dave, what do you think of the Tennessee trash can?
I love the Tennessee trash can.
Let's go.
Fun story. Bobby and I are back with first half highlights from Bowling Green after the break.
Welcome back to the Capital One Halftime Report.
It's halftime on homecoming. Ohio leading Bowling Green 21-16. Jim Barber and the former Ohio State star Bobby Carpenter. Well, what would you call a first half that has 4 turnovers? Very little effect on third down for either team, and 7 different scores.
I would call it exciting. That's some action for you, Jim. That's what we're here to see today.
Yep, and in the first half, it all started with some field goals, and then in the second quarter, it really got interesting. But Jake Suter's got a terrific leg on him.
Jake Suter did a great job today. Here's the first of 3 of his field goals in the first half, and then you see Andrew Clare busting through the line, doing a great job with his explosive speed, and eventually setting up another Suter field goal.
Suter has only missed 1 on the season. This made it 6-0 Bowling Green, and then A.J. Olette from 6 yards out on the option.
Doing a good job. You see Nate Rourke there dipping inside, pitching out to Olette for the first Bobcat score. And then you see Clare here barreling through the line, for the only Falcons touchdown there in the first half. And then Brad Ellis, his second pick six of the season, robbing the Falcons there to give the Bobcats their second touchdown of the game.
Suter back with a field goal, made it 16-14 Bowling Green, but then a 7-play, 82-yard drive. The option worked once. It'll work again. Worked with a touchdown, 21-16 at the break. So quickly, let's take a look at the second half and what we might anticipate.
I think you're going to probably see more option there by the Bobcats. When they get in the red zone, it has paid off. Nathan Rourke's legs have been very good. He has to take care of the football a little bit better. And then if you look at the Bowling Green offense, I think what they're going to want to do is feed it to Claire, get Cleveland going, use that running attack to help set up the pass for Josh Morgan.
Some highlights of the best team in the country, Alabama, and the Capital One fan vote. We come back here on the campus of the Falcons, Bowling Green University, Doyt Perry Stadium, in a highly entertaining first half.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is all right with me. Oh, baby, let's stay together.
Welcome back to the Capital One Halftime Report.
And welcome back to Bowling Green University. Let's take a look at some action that may have an impact on your Capital One fan vote.
By Hurts around the right side. It's in. Touchdown, Alabama. Hurts to the end zone. Ridley. Money. Touchdown. Action from the pocket. Takes it downfield. Ridley's running free. He's got a touchdown. Tied. Here's a quick dump off at a 16-yard touchdown to Harris. Touchdown, Alabama.
Don't forget to go to ESPN.com or the SportsCenter Facebook page on Tuesday to give your Capital One fan vote. Coming back in a moment.
Larry, you got to get those burgers off the grill.
Doug Flutie? Who threw the Hail Larry?
You mean a Hail Mary?
Tomato, potato, man.
Those are two different words.
Let's go, Dr. Pepper, hip. Let's go.
Let's take a look at today's campus moment, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. A reaction from the homecoming crowd after their first touchdown of the game. Nice sized crowd here at Doyt Perry Stadium. The stadium's been in operation a little more than half a century. And the two teams are back. And we'll be ready to start the second half. Falcons will get the ball. Bobby Carpenter, who led his Ohio State team to a Fiesta Bowl victory in 2006. Jim Barber with you and our fine ESPN crew.
Got us a nice game here so far. A lot of back and forth. And when you look at this game, 16-21, you would think that it's a game that's probably been dominated by the Bobcats. But really in the first half, it was all Falcons doing a good job moving the ball, and 3 field goals for the Bowling Green offense as opposed to 3 touchdowns for the Bobcats when they've got down there. That was a point of emphasis here coming into the season, and Frank Solich's squad doing a great job with it. You see the stats there, passing yards very similar. Bobcats dominating on the ground, the 184 yards, and third down conversions, doing a much better job there with, for the Falcons, 0 for 5, and not a great stat, but the time of possession is what sticks out to me, Jim, because it was dead even at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, all Bobcats.
Frank Solich, year number 13. Can't help but wonder, since he's long removed from the Nebraska fiasco that seems to happen every couple of years with a head coach.
They bring him back?
No, but how relieved he is to, in fact, he was telling me a couple of years ago, he said, you know, you come down to this level, It's still competitive FBS football, and it's without a lot of the angst that you have on the major Division I impact plays.
When he's been able to take an Ohio program that has never really had a lot of success, and in his 12 years built it to a team that was the preseason East favorite this year. He hasn't broke through and won that MAC championship yet. Played in the conference title game 3 times, won a number of bowl games. They're doing a great job renovating their facilities down there. He's raising money for that, and they're going to redo their weight room. And I was talking to him a couple weeks ago. He said they have this 3-year plan. He said, forget the 3-year plan. He's like, we're raising the money and getting this thing built now. Frank Solich wants to win here now, and I mean, you're not going to find a more accomplished coach at any MAC program. I mean, Terry Bowden at Akron is about as close as you're going to get.
Think about it. He's been to 13 bowl games. It's nearly an automatic at Ohio, just 1 year of the last 9 in which his teams have not made a bowl game. They've got a chance to do it again. And, of course, that will depend on placement finish. But John Steinbrecher has done a nice job as commissioner of positioning these teams in warm weather bowls. In fact, there are 5 of them for MAC teams when the season is over.
And I know they were very upset after losing that one last week to Central Michigan. Felt like they let one slip away, 27-23. They beat Kansas this year, played Purdue tough outside of a couple plays in the second quarter. I think they were hoping this is the year they could go 11-1, win the MAC championship, and potentially break through and get a really nice bowl game.
Well, the cannon has been fired. That officially means it's time to start the second half. Clare and Wilcox are deep. Farkas with the kick. This is returnable by one of the up men at the 20. This possession will start the Bowling Green 25-yard line.
And a nice job there by Cody Grillo. Grillo doing a good job lowering the boom at about the 25-yard line with a little pooch kick for the Bobcats to open the second half.
All visiting teams today, Bobby, in the MAC are leading at this point. Miami 14-10 over Kent State in the third. Northern Illinois 14, Buffalo 13 in the third, Toledo 17, Central Michigan nothing. Eastern Michigan lost a non-league game to Army today, late fourth, 28-27. And Akron and Western Michigan rained out or flooded out. And we'll play tomorrow 1 o'clock. It's a pretty important game between opposite division rivals and those two teams that could very easily be around when the season is over in Detroit.
Oh, absolutely. Akron doing a good job picking it up after a rough non-conference. But really in contention here and in the thick of it in the MAC East, as you see Andrew Clare, they're getting stuffed on first down by the Bobcat defense.
Clare, the first half, 9 carries for 122 and a touchdown.
Him and Cleveland were very productive on the ground, doing a great job opening up some big-time plays for that Falcons offense.
Well, Cleveland had 17 carries for 73. That line still pushing forward on the second effort across the 30, bring us to a third and manageable.
And it's a great option there for Mike Jinks, who's an offensive guy, but really lets Kevin Kilmer and Andy Padron handle all the offensive play calling duties. When you have a running back like that, who on second long you can give it to, have comfort in him that he's going to probably pick up 4, 5, 6 yards and put you in a very third and manageable situation.
Seth Dagey, the wide receiver coach, the brother of Jared Dagey, who has been the starting quarterback, but back injury has put him on the shelf. Morgan pitching it deep, and a little bit too deep. Intended for receiver Janarvis Pugh, and a couple of times their outside receivers have beaten the defender, but the ball is not matched up with them.
And James Morgan, very strong arm, has the ability to get it there to Pugh, but just not quite as accurate as Jared Dagey, who may not have quite that arm strength, but has a little bit better touch to drop it in the bucket.
Here comes Joseph Davidson. And the thing about Davidson, as we've talked about his ability to punt the football better than anybody in the country, is that coaches say the ball just sounds differently when the foot hits the ball.
You know, that's the high speed velocity of the leg there, Jim. He's able to pound the football. Good height right there, forcing a fair catch. And Kylan Nelson maybe a little shy after that last muff fair catch he had.
Got about a 15 to 20 yard roll and obviously no return. Flag on the play.
Potentially maybe a holding. Let's see where we're going with this. Couple flags on the play, actually.
Referee today, Kurt Johnson.
There you go, Kurt. Turn it on.
Holding. Return team. 10-yard penalty, half the distance from the end of the kick. First down.
So Bobcat defense doing a good job forcing the 3 and out. Special teams letting them down and pinning their offense deep. You can see the hold right there. Number 22.
Look more like a tackle.
Yeah, well, it's something that's going to be addressed in films tomorrow.
So the football back at the 5-yard line. Bobcats will start 95 yards away. Mike Jinks, second season as head coach of Bowling Green and the 19th head coach in program history. Previously the associate head coach and running backs coach, Texas Tech. Here's Nathan Rourke.
Coming out again, 2 tight end sets, something they used early in the first quarter and a little bit in the second quarter to get some of those big offensive drives going.
Clouds have emerged here. Option run for Rourke. Penalty flag on the play. Forced out of bounds after a pickup of a couple.
You see a much better job there on that option by the Bowling Green defense. Middle linebacker Nathan Locke scraping over the top to help provide a little bit of run support there, squaring up Rourke and forcing him to keep the ball as they covered the pitch and only pick up a couple. See the penalty here. Holding.
Personal foul. Offense. Number 63. Tripping. Half the distance to the goal line.
Guard Joe
Remains first down.
It's not the worst thing in the world there, Jim, when you're backed up like that to get a penalty. It's a 15-yard penalty.
Half
but
the
in
distance.
reality, it's only 2.5 yards.
Sure.
And you can see him roll here, dive on the back of the legs, tripping, clipping penalty, and guilty as charged. So set first and 13 now for Ohio. Coming out, still 2 tight ends on the field.
Rourke's had a tough afternoon throwing the ball, 6 of 16 for 65 and a couple of picks. See if he can get the Bobcat running game going here, deep in its own territory. Oh, that one could have taken for huge yardage. Brandon Harris came up to make a huge tackle on A.J. Olette as Olette burst into that second line of defense. He picked up 7, but he was headed for a lot more, actually 6, and was headed for a lot more.
Oh, it could have been a much, much bigger carry than that. Olette finding the seam, doing a good job weaving his way through, and Brandon Harris, the defending MAC Defensive Player of the Week, coming up with a big tackle.
Olette now 9 carries for 35. 21-16 Ohio. First down Bobcats, past the 20, again Olette the ball carrier.
Bowling Green starting to bring more pressure, trying to crowd the line of scrimmage, and if you don't make the play at the line or in the backfield, you're seeing Olette doing a good job with his footwork. The offensive line there, Prees and Messerby punching a little hole and allowing Olette to find that to pick up the 5-6 yard gain in a first down.
There are a great deal of freshmen on this Bowling Green defense, and in fact, it's Mike Jinks' intention to keep the shirt on, as they say, for those freshmen that have not seen any activity here, as that carry is good for 9 yards, and the big stick by Harris, the East Defensive Player of the Week.
And there you see they're going back to the option. So much success in the red zone. Figure, why not? Why don't we run it out in the field?
Sure.
Except you have a guy like Brandon Harris who has great speed. And you worry about that when you're running your quarterback this much, who's been successful taking those big hits.
Well, the problem is your passing game's been ineffective today, so why not try something a little different on the ground, even if you put your quarterback at risk. After a pickup of 9, short yardage play there for the first down to the 36.
And a lot of coaches view the option attack as a version of the pass. It allows you to stretch the defense. It forces them to have cover different assignments. It's going to dictate some things in coverage so they can't just load the inside of the box. And it gives you an extra player as an offense because the quarterback is able to run the ball. So it does some things for you there to help loosen up the defense. But you see these Bowling Green safeties now playing inside of 10 yards, anticipating the run.
Offensive coordinator Tim Albin changing some tempo this week for the Bobcats. So far to positive effect. This time lack of option on first down. Instead, straight ahead A.J. Olette, who is 5'9" junior from Covington, Ohio. We asked Frank Solich about Ouellette and what he likes, and he'll go on for about a half hour.
Oh, he's a beefy dude, low center of gravity, good speed. Does a good job of finding the holes behind that big offensive line, behind Prees and Joe Anderson right there. And it didn't really look like a whole lot, but now you're staring at a 2nd-5 situation, which gives Tim Albin a lot of options.
Bobcats only have 15 points this season, Bobby, in the 3rd quarter, so to start off with a scoring drive would be significant. Actually, they've outscored opponents 64-15, so this has been a quarter to their liking. Josh Crosland up to make his 2nd tackle of this 2nd half.
And as most offensive coaches look at this drive has already been a success. They started back on their own 5, have a penalty, they're on their own 2-yard line. They've driven it almost out to midfield. They've flipped the field now for their defense. They've chewed up some clock, given them some rest, and now they have a 3rd and 3. You know, Bobcats not doing a good job. 0 for 5 on 3rd downs in the first half. Let's see what they do. It looks like they've got Cam Odom locked up there one-on-one. Maybe they take a shot up there.
8th best in the country on 3rd down prior to today's game. Low snap again. Up in the air, who's going to get it? And the Bobcats make the catch at the 50-yard line. No catch.
Almost a great play there by Odom. And Nathan Rourke, very bold, has the one-on-one coverage at the top of the screen. Goes to Odom. And you see him hanging in the pocket here. Nice throw. Throws where only his guy can get it. And a good job defending there by Clint Stevens coming in for Jeffries. And almost reeling that in as Odom, but it hits the ground.
I was following the Ohio sidelines. They were obviously going to be
they're trying to,
partial on the play.
Yeah, they're trying to sell it.
Marcus Milton deep, calling for a fair catch. Runs up on it at the 25. 6 minutes into the 2nd half. Ohio 21, Bowling Green.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Back to work at Deutsch Perry Stadium. Some of the better seats in the house up there on homecoming 2017. Band playing a number of themes of love today for couples returning to the spot they likely met at.
Well, that's terrific. Place where dreams come true, Bowling Green State University.
First down for James Morgan, pitching it downfield. And Morgan with that NFL-like arm, looking for Jarvis Pugh. Incomplete. You know, Morgan studied a lot of Mr. Rogers at Green Bay as kind of an inspiration for being calm in the pocket, finding himself under control. Of course, he grew up in the shadows of Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers is a big hero of his.
You see him testing Jamal Hudson right there with Jalen Fox out. Out of these change of possessions, they've been taking shots over the top. Look for that to continue because they've had him beat.
It's time an inside handoff on 2nd down. Clare and Cleveland have been the principal running backs. That's Cleveland there. The stop by Javon Hagan, who had a pretty strong first half in tackles. He had 7. He's adding to that total already here in the 3rd.
And they love the draw there, trying to crease the defense on a 2nd and long situation. But Hagan comes up and a very sure tackler from a safety position.
Very competitive day in the MAC today. 4 of the 5 games separated by 5 points or less. Eastern Michigan went for 2 at the end of its game at West Point today and lost to Army 28-27. That's the only final in the books. Akron, Western Michigan rained out.
Pressure by the Bobcats.
Here they come. Morgan in trouble. Held his ground and avoided the sack. The pass intended for Guyton. Quentin Poling applying the heat.
And Morgan had some guys open, but you see right here, Poling coming over the top, hurdling, going over the cut block of Cleveland, rolling in, grabbing Morgan's legs so he can't step into the throw. As Aloese's closing in, and a nice dial up there by Jimmy Burrows, bringing some heat. Loves to bring both backers right over top of the center in the A-gaps. Affects James Morgan get off the field.
Means Joseph Davidson back to do what he does best, and that is kick the ball away. Headed to Nelson on the bounce from the 30. Nelson at a 40. Nelson to midfield. Into Bowling Green territory inside the 45.
They have a flag down. Looks like it's going to be targeting.
2 flags. One at the 45, the other one near the 40.
Which I disagree with the call on the one at the 40-yard line. Let's see what they have to say about this. You see left side right there. Lower down. Oh, he got him right in the side of the head. Never mind.
He sure did.
It looked like he got him lower on the field, but that was a good call by the official. And by the letter of the law, that appears to be targeting right there. So I think that was number 84, Austin Conrad. That might end his day a little prematurely, and now it's in the second half.
That would also end part of play next week for the first half.
It also negates a big return right here. We'll have to see what the other penalties on, though, as well.
During the kick, personal foul, kicking team. Number 26. During the return, personal foul, targeting, receiving team. 84. The play is under review for the aspect of targeting.
Earlier in the game, Javon Hagan had targeting addressed on a hit on Teal Redding, but targeting call on the field overruled by the booth, so he was allowed to stay. And Ohio, which already has 3 targeting penalties this year, is under the microscope again, Bobby.
Well, and this looks like it's going to be targeting right there, and that's probably an accurate call. I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, by the letter of the law, that's kind of how it looks. Head right to the side of the helmet, and that wasn't one where you see sometimes the receiver changes his target angle when he lowers his body. This is a situation there where guys running straight up and he went up top.
Yeah, defenseless player too.
Yeah, so he most likely there'll be an ejection, I would imagine, on that. But I think it will just be offsetting penalties. So, Jim, if we're lucky, they may kick this whole thing over again.
The targeting would be upheld. Kevin Robbins has come back after a targeting violation last week to play the second half here. Another look from another angle. And Kurt Johnson's earning his keep here in the third quarter.
So are we, Jim. I mean, this getting a lot of stoppages, a lot of opportunities to break down some of these penalties, reviews.
Our replay official is Nick Baniel, communicator Stat Evans, and a lot of times they call for action at speed as opposed to a slowdown.
Oh, and I think that's important too. It's better to see it in live action. Especially then you want to see it. You do want to slow it down to see exactly where the contact was made, but live speed gives you the real feel of what it was and how
more dramatic. So the fate of 84 right now in the hands of the officiating crew of the Mid-American Conference.
Still under review, and this is right there. You see, it's close, but it looked like his helmet, the crown of his helmet, got him right in the side of the head, especially. On that view, it looks worse. The other view, it doesn't. It looks like his shoulder got him more in the chest. And that's tough. I mean, he's going back trying to make a block. You can't block low in the kicking game. And any change of possession, whether it's an interception return, fumble return, kickoff, punt, whatever it may be, you have to block above the waist. So you cannot cut. So that leaves the strike area from the belt to the shoulders. And let's hear what they have to say.
After further review, the ruling of targeting is confirmed. Number 84 is disqualified from the game. The 2 fouls, 1 on each team, will offset. We'll replay the down.
That's it for Austin Conrad.
We also
and
have
the question
official
begs to
sideline
be,
warning against the Ohio bench.
That's 4 targeting plays on Ohio's this season. So shouldn't this be something that they need to address a little more fervently?
Well, I think that some on special teams, it's an offensive guy. Conrad plays tight end. I mean, that's something that he probably doesn't deal with as much. Usually you're talking about defenders. So, yeah, it's something Frank Solich is going to talk about. The Hagan one, when you're going after a receiver and they're moving around, that's a lot more difficult than a guy who's running straight up and down. But, it's tough. You're trying to figure out how to make that block without hitting him in the head. And it can be difficult. But due to offsetting penalties, Jim, we're going to get to see this whole thing re-kicked and see if Kylan Nelson can make another play.
This time Davidson for the 27 gets one off with more distance.
Beauty.
Back inside the 20 to Nelson. Nelson with a return of 10 to the 30. So Kevin Robbins returns for the second half after a targeting violation last week. And now, just moments ago, Austin Conrad has been thrown out because of targeting. And he'll miss the first half of Ohio's game next week.
And we have another flag on the play here.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 25. half distance to the goal line. First down. Timeout.
It's not been a good quarter for Ohio, and yet with 7:54 to go in the third, Bobcats still lead Bowling. Flash over to the MAC standings in the Eastern Division. Akron, Western Michigan rained out, so Akron will have the division lead till tomorrow. And Ohio, Buffalo, Miami, Bowling Green, all records of 1-1. Everybody playing today, except for Ball State, which has a bye. Eastern Michigan played non-conference, lost to Army despite 4 touchdown passes from Brogan Roback, 28-27. Back on ESPN, Jim Barber, Bobby Carpenter, middle, third quarter. And Ohio on offense because of penalties deep in its own territory. Dorian Brown straight ahead.
Nice job by Dorian Brown right up the middle after a 15-minute change of possession. Bobcats now with the ball, looking to see what they can do and build on what was really a good second quarter. Some good movement here to start the third quarter. Was able to drive it out earlier on their first drive from inside their own 5-yard line to about the 50, trying to do the same thing here.
Back to option. Rourke leads the attack and slides close to the sticks. Maybe a tad short. It'll be 3rd and 1 for Nathan Rourke, who played most of his high school football in Canada and his final year of high school play at Alabama. Gus Schwieterman makes the tackle.
The Canadian there, and they've been running the option a lot to the left side. Right tackle, Jared McCray out. Austin Pleasant's filling in the left side with Joe Anderson and Joe Lowry getting some nice push there for Nathan Rourke to run behind.
Needing just a yard here.
Not getting it.
Nope. Falcons stood him up with that front defensive 4.
And a nice job in there, Shannon Smith. You see getting up off the ground, getting a good push inside. Him and Kyle Jr., his defensive tackle mate, really piling up. Actually, I think it was Josh Crosland right there, Crosland on that play.
Good to see Kyle Jr. is okay. He was shaken up in the first half with what appeared to be an ankle problem. And it's 3 now for the Bobcats, who now must punt back in the shadows of their own goalpost.
The Bobcats not doing a great job today for having 21 points, 0 of 6 on third down conversions.
Well, that'll certainly improve Bowling Green's defense on third down, which was one of the worst in the country. Driving Marcus Milton back to the 25.
Nice punt.
Makes a man miss. Here he goes, midfield. What a return by Marcus Milton, good for 25 yards.
And that's the problem when you bomb away a punt like that. Sometimes you outkick your coverage. There's a little bit of gap right there between the Bobcats coverage unit, and a nice big return by Marcus Milton, setting up the Falcon offense.
We're back, 21-16 our score, and we've been on that score since late first half. Good field position, in fact excellent field position for Bowling Green, as Grant Loy has returned as the quarterback / running back. Faking the jet sweep, he'll keep. And on first down, picks up close to 10.
Grant Loy, big powerful athlete back there. They've been putting him in as kind of a wildcat guy. Redshirt freshman out of New Washington, Ohio. You see him do a good job with the fake, pulling both the guard and tackle around, fakes out the cameraman, but able to get downhill. And a nice tackle right there by the Bobcats, number 32, Quentin Pulling, to diagnose it and stop it before it could have been even bigger.
And James Morgan has returned as the quarterback on 2nd and 1. Makes a man miss and's got a receiver. Ball caught inside the 30-yard line at the 27 by number 89, Derek Pudavong. Big first down for Bowling Green.
And injured Bobcat on the play, number 38, Chad Moore, was coming off the top of the screen there. Had James Morgan dead in his sights. Morgan gave him a little
timeout on the field for an injury.
And you saw Moore go down. It looked like he may have hurt his ankle.
Had a couple of those injuries in this game so far.
See Moore limping off right there. The starting outside backer, 5th-year senior out of Grove City, Ohio.
Physical, fast.
He allows them to stay in their base defense. They don't go a whole lot of nickel, which means bringing in a 5th defensive back because Chad Moore's so athletic. He's able to stay on the field in a lot of passing situations, gives Jim Burrow a lot of flexibility, the Bobcat defensive coordinator.
This Bobcat team has 7 fifth-year seniors in its starting group.
Very veteran group. They do a good job. They redshirt guys. They develop them down there in Athens, Ohio, and you're seeing the dividends of that now.
Back to live action. Morgan might have been trying to set up a screen, but a receiver was nowhere in position to make the catch and go.
Number 90, Trent Smart, applying the pressure. It's a screen. You want to let him through a little bit, but not that fast. Coming off the bottom of the screen there.
It's not how you practice it, right?
No, it was not how they drew it up.
2nd and 10. Ball at the Ohio 28. Bowling Green, after an 0-5 start this year, trying to win for the 2nd week in a row.
Claren, wouldn't be surprised to see a draw right here. Oh, taking the shot.
Intended for Pudavong. 3rd down.
They had them set up the way they wanted. They've been running the ball well. Draws on 2nd and long. Fake the run there. Run Pudavong on the slant. Had a step on Javon Hagan. Just needs to be a little bit more accurate, and that's what's been killing James Morgan today, because he's had some open receivers that he hasn't been able to hit.
By the way, for your baseball enthusiasts, Yankees-Astros 1-1 in the 7th. Game 2 of the ALCS. Cubs and Dodgers start the NLCS later tonight.
3 receivers at the bottom of the screen. Look like they're working the top, coming back down.
Need to pick up 10. Can they get it? Yep. And a little more on the catch by Matthew Wilcox, who makes the signal. 1st down. Evan Crouch makes the tackle.
The true freshman Wilcox out of Hubert Heights Wayne, coming from the bottom of the screen, does a nice cutback there on the senior Quentin Poling to pick up the 1st down.
Clock moving, 4:20, 3rd quarter. Faking the jet sweep, give to Clare. And it ran off tackle there as it did a little misdirection.
Javon Hagan once again involved. The big-time safety for the Bobcats coming up to make the stop after a little trickery in the backfield.
Bowling Green now for the game, over 200 yards running the football.
You see Grant Loy entering the game again. Red zone situation. Looking for a little wildcat offense, some zone read. And they're bringing in the big back, short yardage Donovan Wilson.
You haven't seen Donovan very much so far.
Timeout on the field.
And with 3:45 to go, we'll stay here.
So Donovan Wilson, the short yardage back out of Dublin Jerome, Dublin, Ohio. So Matt Domer had been their short yardage guy a couple weeks ago against Akron. Rips off a 60-yard run, hurts his foot on the play, doesn't necessarily look quite as fast as he had. Asked Mike Jinks about that. What's happened with Domer? Said he tore ligaments in his foot. He's done for the season. And that's why he didn't look as fast. Was still in the game with that going on.
Yeah.
So now the short yardage duties will rest with Wilson, the big physical guy, 222 pounds, 6'1", number 45.
Mike Jinks replacing Dino Babers, whose Syracuse team upset number 2 Clemson last night at the Dome.
Training orange for orange.
Yeah.
And doing a great job up there at Syracuse. This Bowling Green the coaches here have been spinning through so many times over the last couple of years, and sometimes you lose some in recruiting a little bit, and I think that's what Mike Jinks was suffering.
Over the middle, touchdown. It's the tight end, 88, Hunter Folkertsma. And Bowling Green goes up by 1.
And they've been running the ball pretty effectively at the Falcons. We hear the cannons firing. We're ready to go, and James Morgan has a nice fake and finds Folkersma right over the middle with some play action.
Hunter's 2nd touchdown of the year, Bobby. Now the extra point. You at home may be saying, why not go for 2 to make it a field goal separation? General philosophy with a lot of game left is not to get in a position of chasing points. Make that decision later in the game if necessary.
Absolutely. It's too early in the game, and with the way this game is headed, you have no idea what the situation is that you may need those points later. Go for it when you absolutely need to. And you hear James Morgan sitting there, slide protection up front. Quentin Poling not getting quite enough depth and against an empty set. And Javon Hagan coming over, batting it out late, but just a little too much as the Bobcats bring the pressure, and Folkersma runs clean to get the touchdown.
And the Academy's got some work to do.
It's going to be a lot of push-ups here.
Yeah.
But that's the first Bowling Green score here this half.
Who better to do it, huh?
Those guys are looking good. Guys and gals in their fatigues, looking very strong.
By the way, the 6th lead change in this game. And you get the feeling there are going to be a few more.
That's what Maction's all about, Jim. Back and forth.
Yep.
We've got at least 3 more hours than us. I'll tell you that right now. I'm juiced up for the rest of the night.
23-21 with 3:41 to go in the third quarter. And Nick Fields back to put foot into football.
It's a long drive there by the Falcons. It's going to be critical for now for the Bobcats.
DL Knock, number 19, deep for Ohio.
Nathan Rourke to put together a little bit of a drive.
And the Bobcats wisely with one knee in the end zone back to their own 25. So as we get set for the remainder of the third and the fourth quarter, what's going to be important?
Well, do the Bobcats continue to run some of that option? Are they able to convert on third down? They need to get this passing game going a little bit. I know they're banged up with receivers. Poppy White, number 4, their leading guy coming into the season. He was second team preseason All-MAC. Broke his hand a couple of weeks ago. Dressed, not playing today. Cam Oden has been battling a little bit of a foot injury, although he's out there right now. But they're going to need to develop some big plays. Back in the 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field that they used a lot in the second quarter to have some success.
Quarterback keep.
There
and a
goes.
lot of room for Rourke. With a man to beat, he may go all the way. 30, 20, to the 10. Touchdown. 75 yards. And what a call.
We talked about lead changes and everything that's happening. And they've been running that zone read, Jim. And what did I tell you? Every time he comes off, he checks the defensive end. And finally comes over and tells Tim Albin, hey, maybe time for me to call my own number. And we were talking earlier, and you said, what's the deal with Nathan Rourke? Is he kind of a fast guy? Is he faster than he looks? He looked pretty fast right there. He had Marcus Milton hawking him down at the end. Nice cutback. And now you see the Bobcats maybe trying to press their advantage a little bit. So what's the point of being up 5 when you could go up 6?
Well, the chart that coaches go by indicates that this is a 2-point try, because if you make it and the other team gets a touchdown, it's tied with the chance to block a kick. At least I think that's the theory behind it.
You know what the difference between theory and reality is, Jim?
Yeah, I do. Cope in motion. He was questionable for the start of the third quarter. Little option and a little trickery. Busted play, got a man in the end zone though, and almost caught. 2-point conversion, no good though. And it's now a 4-point game, remains a 4-point game at 27-23.
Well, I like the play call they had up. They've been running the option so effectively there, Jim. And you figure, why not run the option, have a little trickery off of that, and you see him come back there with the pitch. Who's it, to Meyer? But here's the TD right here. You see the zone read getting out in front. Dorian Brown trying to pick up a block, but Nathan Rourke's so fast getting out in front. Odom getting a block, cutting back on Milton. And a nice job by Nathan Rourke, the Canadian, finding pay dirt. And Gus Schwederman, the very talented defensive end, highly involved, big-time motor guy, playing at about 85%, has a little bit of an ankle injury, but gets nosy there on the defensive end. They've been running it inside, and you finally see that explosive gain there for the Bobcats. One play, 75 yards, 13 seconds.
Had to beat Cam Jeffries and Marcus Milton. Did that rather easily with Milton at the goal line. And for Rourke, 11 rushing touchdowns this year. He could become the nation's leader by the time this game is over. He was tied for 4th coming in.
Not much rest for the Bobcats defense on a 75-yard drive.
You know, Bowling Green has had that electric running offense in the past, but Ohio is showing some signs today. 8 lead changes now. Almost feels like a basketball game where you have so many times that the lead switches hands.
The back and forth has been continuing to go on here, and it's impressive there. Frank Solich, just when you feel like the offense is starting to get bogged down, they pull out a big play. Nathan Rourke having a nice long run, showing his speed and showing his wheels, and now we're going back to this Bobcat defense, which He's played really well at times today, giving up some potential big plays through the passing game that Morgan has just overthrown. But they've also given up some big plays on the ground. Andrew Clare being very effective at times, and now we're going to see a little bit of Josh Cleveland and what he can do with his sweet feet.
Morgan looking to throw on first down. Penalty flag on the play. Could be pass interference or a hold. Again, Morgan shooting way past his intended receiver, this time Scott Miller.
And it's a great job there. This is going to be pass interference or holding, but it may be one of the best pass interference or holding you can get.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 23, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So, Jim, that's a 10-yard penalty right there on Kylan Nelson, on Scott Miller. He gets beat on the double move, a nice little stem outside. Kyle Miller cuts back inside, and you have to give him wrap around his hips, but you know what it did? It saved a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he was wide open.
Foul on Kyla Delson. Bowling Green, again, over 200 yards today, principally because of the running of Clare and Cleveland, as Polnig's up to make yet another stop on Josh Cleveland.
Doing a good job establishing that running game again. Had some big plays. Second and long, second and 5 here. Look to him to keep it on the ground.
And Cleveland rushes for the first down. You have to be so impressed the way this Falcon offensive line is now starting to move in this game. Our last couple of games, Ryan Hunter, Lorenzo Taborn, Tim McAuliffe, who's battled a shoulder injury, Jack Kramer, and Austin Labus. Considering where Mike Jinks' team was just a few weeks ago, one of the worst, almost the worst in the country at rushing. Morgan pitching again the long ball.
Doing a good job, and when they've been most successful, the Falcons, it's when they've been hammering the football. They've taken their shots down the field. As you see right there, going to Datron Guyton again, who's been targeted a number of times, and I don't think has come away with a catch quite yet. Trying to challenge Brad Ellis there, who had the pick 6 earlier in this game. Now a 2nd and 10. Look for him to keep it on the ground and try to get back on track.
Bobby, we have not seen Teo Redding in the second half, and I'm having trouble finding him on the sidelines. Remember, he was hit hard by Javon Hagan. Took a long time getting up in the first quarter. There was a call of targeting on the field. That call was overturned, but you can't help but feel that the injury he suffered in the first quarter has been lingering.
Yeah, it's probably affected him a little bit. And you see Wyatt Shulman having a nice play, defensive end filling in for Kevin Robbins, who had the targeting, also out with a foot injury today. And this will be now their 3rd defensive end having to go in. They're going to a 3-down package here, so not having to use it. But the Bobcats injury starting them out, and then you mentioned Redding. He's their big play guy on the outside for the Falcons. I know James Morgan would like him on a 3rd and 10 right here.
Now, neither team has had an effective passing game today. It's been the running game for both schools that's been good. Speaking of a run, trying this on 3rd down. They'll get more than half the distance needed for a first down. Let's see if, in fact, that leads to a punt here. Let's go back to the hit by Javon Hagan from the Ohio secondary on Teo Redding that was called targeting on the field, but in fact was overturned. Well, you know what? That's
nice run by Josh Cleveland.
That's the play moments ago by Cleveland.
It's all right, but they did 3rd down right there. 3rd and long, they've been running the inside zone, running the draw. And Clare doing a good job picking up almost 6-7 yards. The Bobcats are ready and still almost a conversion.
Joseph Davidson, who does so well pinning the opponents back inside the goal line. Did he make it there? Does not appear to have. It's going to be a touchback.
And that was a nice job there by Davidson on that punt. I think it hit about the 1 or 2 yard line. He pulled out the sand wedge, popped it straight up in the air, gave his guys a chance. That's all you can really ask for.
Although, you know, Davidson, he gets frustrated with anything that's not pinned inside the 5. All right, let's go back down to the first quarter and the targeting play of question.
You see the slant there, throwing to Redding. Hagan hitting Redding in the head, but it looked like it was more arm, and you saw how much Redding dropped down. And that, to me, it's got to be a little bit of intent. And I don't think there was necessarily the intent there from Javon Hagan to try to hit him in the helmet. It looked like it was more in the shoulder. And I think it was a good job keeping him in. And Hagan's been a very, very active defender today for the Bobcats, in on a number of plays. and I believe is leading this Bobcat defense in tackles, or right there at the top with 9.
Nathan Rourke's got a receiver if he can catch up to it. Intended for Andrew Meyer, who outran the defense. Goes as a long, incompleted pass. The numbers aren't particularly good for either quarterback throwing the ball today. It's really been the running of Rourke, and you saw his numbers indicated by a graphic earlier, the 2 touchdown runs, including that 75-yarder that right now are making the difference in this game.
Well, you saw the 2 touchdown runs, but let's not also forget the touchdown run to A.J. Ouellette earlier. A little bit of an option action there, him drawing in the defense and doing a better job with that. So the legs of Rourke are really the story today for this Bobcat offense. As you see him here again, one-on-one with Gus Schwederman. Look at the speed right there by the Canadian, slicing up that Falcons defense.
And a pickup of 29 from the 20 all the way to the 49. And for Nathan Rourke, let's check the numbers on him running the football in this game so far, because we have a 200-yard game before this is over. He now has 142 on the day. 7 carries, that's 20 yards a carry for the quarterback.
Doing a great job breaking off Gus Schwederman right there, and finally being brought down by Fred Garth, but not before a big gain.
Half a minute to go in the third.
Bobcats in 2 tight ends, slowing it down a little bit here.
Rourke steps up, incomplete.
He stepped up to throw the ball to try to push it to Odom on the outside, but I think he had room to run. Maybe he was a little gassed after that last 20-yard pickup, but he could have probably gained 10 yards had he chose to take the ball down the field.
Having a multi-dimensional quarterback really poses problems for defenses.
I mean, $142 on the ground today by Nathan Rourke. Talked about A.J. Ouellette. He's averaging 4.6, has 60 yards on 13 carries. Dorian Brown, 60 yards on 7 carries. This Bobcat rushing attack really getting it done.
Speaking of Ouellette, he carries there to the 45, and that should be the final play of the third quarter. Hope you can stay with us. It's still a 1-score game as we'll start the fourth quarter in a couple of minutes. After 3, Ohio leads Bowling Green 27-23. The very explosive Tio Redding, Bowling Green receiver today, has missed most of the action. He was planted by Javon Hagan in the first. There were concerns about a neck or a head injury at that point. He did re-enter the game, played a couple of plays. It's a lower leg injury, though, that sidelined him at this point as we approach the fourth quarter. That's a huge loss for Bowling Green and its passing attack.
I mean, last week you look, 8 catches, 197 yards, 2 TDs in the win at Miami, so huge loss for that offense. There you see A.J. Ouellette barreling down the gauntlet there on a 3rd and medium, picking up the first down, taking a page out of the Bowling Green Mike Jinks playbook, running the ball on 3rd and medium and longer, picking up the first down. This Bobcats rushing attack now, Jim, is starting to really lean on the Bowling Green defensive line. You're starting to see hands on hips, guys getting gassed, and that's what happens when you have a big veteran offensive line that slowly wears you down.
And you got to worry about chasing number 12, the quarterback, who's already galloped 75 yards for a score in the second half, Bobby.
And that's the part of the offense there that maybe you don't need to throw, although the Bobcats taking a shot right here.
He's got a man, it's Meyer. Touchdown. The running game sets up the passing game.
And when you have a quarterback that can run, you have to start calling defenses now, and that's putting more stress on Perry Alano, trying to say, hey, not only do we have to stop the running backs, we have to make sure we contain the quarterback. And you saw the play action shot down the field, and Nathan Rourke being accurate on the deep shot there to Andrew Meyer for the touchdown.
Offensive coordinator Tim Albin dials up the big-time play of 41 yards, which stretches the lead to the biggest we've seen today at 10, 33-23.
They may be reviewing to see if he got in the end zone.
The ruling on the previous play of a touchdown is under further review.
Remember, all scoring plays are reviewed, but some have more attention than others.
Looked like he got in there. pretty clearly. A nice ball. Nathan Rourke puts a little bit inside, but good job stacking him. Yeah, and he held on to it, hand underneath, rolling the end zone. It's a strictly precautionary there, but going after number 2, Clint Stevens, who came in for Cameron Jeffries, who had been battling some injury issues, had been back after a couple of weeks. Had an interception earlier today, had been playing really well, going back out of the game, and the Bobcats taking advantage.
It would be Myers' second touchdown reception of the year if it holds up.
Good catch right there, 2 steps. His knee doesn't hit. His knee is in the end zone. The ball's even with his body. I can't imagine this being overturned now at this point.
After further review, the ruling of touchdown stands.
Now you can smile, Andrew. Six-play, 80-yard scoring drive in a $147. Ohio stretching the lead now to 10.
Doing a good job there pressing the advantage. When you're running the football like that, you're going to start to see the safeties creeping down one-on-one on the outside. And it wasn't long before Nathan Rourke was able to identify Clint Stevens and go for the throw.
Luis Zervos with the 34th point of the day.
Bobcats today scoring their 5th touchdown, 1 of 8 on 3rd downs. That might be the most impressive stat. Now, one of the touchdowns was a defensive boomerang, a pick 6, but still putting up 4 touchdowns with only converting one 3rd down implies you're really good on 1st and 2nd down, and you've had some big plays. And 2 of them have been by Nathan Rourke, 1 by his arm and 1 by his legs.
Well, the Bobcats, Bobby, are the team picked to win the MAC East, so getting a win here today in Bowling Green would be huge, considering that Akron now is on the shelf until tomorrow to play Western Michigan because of the rainout in Kalamazoo.
And you see that everybody's loving it. Nathan Rourke fired up. The center Jake Preece fired up with him. A couple picks today. You know, it's been feast and famine for him. Big plays aplenty. A couple of misguided throws that he wished he had back. But I think he's probably happy with his performance thus far.
Well, what is it from about players from Pickerington Central that matter in this game today, huh?
It's big, Pickerington Central. Hey, it's one town over from where I'm from in Lancaster. Watched my dad's team play him 2 weeks ago.
Here's a return by Claire, who ran into his own man at the 15.
Critical drive now for BG. Bowling Green's been doing a great job of running the football. They've had some opportunistic passing attempts that led to some big play completions, but they've really had their success with Josh Cleveland and Andrew Clare getting to the 2nd level, making guys miss. They need to continue to do that. They've fallen in love with some of these big plays down the field, and they've been open, but James Morgan hasn't hit them, so just stay on the ground. You have plenty of time, 14 minutes plus. They're going 3 receivers to the boundary here. As you see Redding there, not on the field. He's the big guy they've been missing. But just hit Josh Cleveland in space and see what he can do.
You also have 222 yards running the football. Again, shooting the long one, though, and caught. 45-yard line, finally teaming up with Derek Pudavong. Well, they've tried several times today. Morgan has overled him on most occasions. Not this one.
No, he does a good job hanging in the pocket there. With the coverage, they've got the step. They've had the step all afternoon, and finally able to bring one down. And this might be a challenge. This could have been a ball that hit the ground. Don't know if he had possession.
On the field of a completed pass is under further review.
Pudavong did a great job of selling it. And you see Morgan just putting a little too much air under it once again. He has a strong arm. Looked like he may have had possession of that. See if the ground helped him get it.
Catch is good for 35 yards. Here's the other angle. Well, they certainly maintain possession, and that's part of it.
I think he may have got his hands under it. It looks like a good catch to me.
It's a heck of a catch, isn't it? So finally, Morgan teaming up with his speedy wide receiver, the junior from Columbus, Ohio State territory.
And right there, it looks like he beat Marlon Brooks, the true freshman out of Miami, number 22.
Makes irreversible evidence to overrule So in a moment, Kurt Johnson will inform us. Speaking right now with the back judge, that's Rick Fonestock. This is probably the best angle right here.
The ball moved there right at the end. He did a good job of selling it.
Of the football throughout the entire process of the catch going to the ground. Therefore, incomplete pass. It'll be second and 10 at the 15-yard line.
So instead of a gain of 35, bring the football all the way back to the 15-yard line. But finally, Mike Jinks has seen his quarterback and wide receiver team up, so maybe that's a sign of things to come.
Reset the game clock to 14-11. Now here's what you need to do. If you're Bowling Green at this point, you've been running the ball well. You've taken, that's I think the 4th or 5th shot, Jim. They've had guys open, but they haven't hit one of them.
Yeah.
So you stick on the ground. They're getting 8-yard carries. Claire, Cleveland, athletic guys. It's not going to be too long before you think they pop a 20-yarder. But they're falling in love with the pass, and it's been burning them.
Morgan over the middle, short of the first down by about a yard. The numbers today reflect a good rushing attack versus the passing, 222 to now 111. That's twice as many. And typically the numbers for Bowling Green are reversed. It's the passing game that is twice as effective as the rushing game.
Scott Miller, nice catch there. The slot guy underneath. Getting now 3rd and short. This is more of a run situation you'd think of, but it looks like the Falcons are going to pass the ball right now. Seeing a light box though. Maybe he's making a check.
It's actually 3rd and 2.
I think they're going to run it to the bubble right here.
Cleveland gets the first down. Been quite a day for college football. Quite a weekend last night. Washington State blown up by Cal, and Clemson upset. So 2 top 10 teams went down. Michigan was in trouble today, but beat Indiana in overtime. And Wisconsin, Auburn, Oklahoma, all in one possession, one score games in the 4th quarter today.
Yeah, the Longhorns moving the football as you see Josh Cleveland limping off the field right there. He's limped off a couple of times, he's been battling some lower body injuries. Not a huge deal. They have obviously Andrew Clare, and I'd like to see him feed Andrew Clare a little bit on this play right here.
Cleveland gets attention, fresh set of downs for the 27. Morgan, play action. Tough catch at midfield, incomplete.
So now the Bobcats have wised up. Jimmy Burrows understand, hey, we've gotten lucky 5 times. We've had our corners out there on an island.
Looking at a cover 2 here or a double team?
Playing a little cover 2. You see the 2 safeties deep to be able to give a little bit of relief now to those cornerbacks. And James Morgan's trying to throw it in there. That would have been a great opportunity with 2 safeties high. You have a lighter box to try to stop the run. Now see Javon Hagan creeping up there to go make a play.
And only a yard on the play as Hagan gets credited with yet another stop.
Javon Hagan's a heck of a player to watch.
Oh, he is.
He's been all over the field, a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. We're the leader of that secondary back there.
A sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida.
Preseason first team All-MAC. Guy's been all over the field today. Now 3rd and 10. And this is a Falcons offense that hasn't been great on 3rd down. 6 of 16. Bobcats one of the best on the 3rd down in the MAC defensively. Bringing the heat.
Last week, very successful at running on 3rd down. Morgan loses the football. Sack back at the 20.
See a great job there. Jimmy Burrow dialing up the pressure.
And we wait.
I'm trying to sort this out. Officials pulling guys off. I bet this is going to be Bobcats ball, though.
I always say the ball changes hands a few times, and it is Ohio football. The 3rd Bowling Green turnover of the game.
Trent Smart in there, pointing the other way. Big defensive end. Looked like he got his big paw on that thing. Knocked it out. He's being pursued by Quentin Pulling, the middle linebacker, coming up the middle, bringing the corner, Brad Ellis, off the side. Oh, great job there. Number 51 getting in the mix. Will Evans getting his paw on it, and then you see Trent Smart coming up with the ball, I think, underneath.
Now for the season, Ohio's defense has forced 10 turnovers, and this Opportunity begins at the Bowling Green 20.
And this is a situation here where if you're Mike Jinks, you have to be kicking yourself. You've been controlling this game in the first half. You were running it effectively, falling in love with the deep ball. And the Bobcats begin to tee off on you, start to bring some pressure. The game is still in reach. You're down 11. If you can get a stop here, it's still 2 possessions. Plenty of time. 12 personnel. I bet the Bobcats take a shot on some play action.
Bowling Green looking away to make a stop and force Ohio into a field goal attempt.
You get a timeout?
Going to be called by the Bobcats just moments into the fourth quarter.
Timeout, Ohio.
And we'll take it with them.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Rushing numbers today for Ohio: 142 for quarterback Rourke, 71 on the ground for A.J. Olette, and 59 for Dorian Brown. No reason to throw the ball here. A field goal gives you a 2-touchdown advantage. A touchdown likely puts it away.
And they might take a shot. 12 personnel here. I could see them running some play action. Maybe Rourke on the keeper even.
On the zone read, Olette.
Ooh. Lowering the boom.
Pickup of 9. Clock continues to move. It's early fourth quarter as Milton makes the stop. But the problem here is that Ohio positioning itself for a knockout punch as some of the fans have already removed themselves from the Bowling Green side and headed to the parking lot.
And here's, if they're able to get a stop here, it's a 2-possession game. Even right now at 11 points, it's 2 possessions. And there's plenty of time in college football, as we've seen, as the quarters have been 47, 56, and 47 minutes long, Jim. There's plenty of time left in this game.
Straight ahead, Olette, and he nearly busted it to the end zone, Bobby. It'll be first and goal at the 2. Seems like he's got an extra burst of energy now.
Well, when you're not making a cut and not getting hit in the backfield, it's pretty easy to see him right downhill there. Look at the big offensive lineman there on the right side. Big right guard, number 60, clearing it out for him.
That's Austin Pleasance getting the start today for the injured Jared McCray.
Running some time down as well.
Olette straight ahead. Touchdown.
And that has to be disappointing right there if you're Mike Jinks. Your defense has played so well today. Perry Alano's done a great job of calling this game. You've really limited the Bobcats' rushing attack from their running backs for the most part. The big plays have come from Nathan Rourke. And then you see A.J. Olette, 3 plays in a row, rip it right down the middle against your very talented and very tough defensive line, and it's just going to be a little bit demoralizing.
And physical front 7 of Ohio taking over here in the fourth quarter, as Bobby mentioned, and now the lead has stretched to 18 at 41-23 Ohio. Two touchdown runs today by A.J. Olette, 18 carries for 91. Now 5 touchdowns on the season. And Ohio pretty good shape right now to claim its second conference win.
You see him there with Dorian Brown on the bike getting loosened up. He was had a nice day, 7 for 59 himself, but A.J. Olette on the all-beard team as well. Looking nice and strong with his thick beard. Full-grown man today.
Looks like one of the Cup starters in the NLCS.
On that big offensive line, the Bobcats starting to lean on the Falcons.
How much of a difference do you think the lack of Teo Redding in the second half has made for Bowling Green?
No, it's not even in the second half. I mean, even in the first half at points, second quarter, you saw him try to take some shots there. Datron Guyton had a number of drops. They've taken shots over the top. And it's just, it's tough because James Morgan's overthrown him a few. And maybe Redding has a little bit more speed to go get the ball. But they've fallen in love with the pass. They have 219 yards on the ground today, the Falcons do. They have explosive backs in Cleveland and Clare that can take it the distance. And they had 12 minutes. I don't know if you need to fall in love with throwing it. Now they're forced into a situation where they have to.
Morgan to the sidelines. And it's incomplete. And quarterback Morgan now 14 of 37 today. An interception that turned into a pick six.
That hurt, but they were very effective on the ground, and this is when the Falcons are going to be the best. Mike Jinks said they want to run the ball to get singles on the outside with their receivers and then take advantage of it. Well, they hadn't really been able to take advantage of it, but they were able to still run the ball regardless of how many guys were in the box.
Morgan to Cleveland to try to make some magic out in the open happen. But he is brought down.
Dylan Connor.
A modest gain on second down.
And a nice job there. The redshirt freshman out of Fort Wayne filling in for the injured Chad Moore, who we saw go out earlier after James Morgan gave him a little juke on a blitz. So they're facing a 3rd and 7 here. I mean, the Falcons defense sitting over there on the bench, exhausted. The Bobcat defense probably tired but enthused, knowing they're going to be able to get a little more pressure. And I think Jimmy Burrow's going to bring some heat here on 3rd down. Both backers, here we go.
Morgan looking across the middle's got a man. It's a big play. It's Scott Miller making another man miss. He's got a block.
Nope.
Going to chase it to the house. Scott Miller.
Touchdown. Oh.
Out of bounds at the 2.
And that's the play the Falcons needed in the passing game. The catch and run by Scott Miller. The underneath receiver in the slot. Big time guy coming out. Preseason All-MAC player. See him catch it there. Elude the tackle. Look at the nice stiff arm there on Hagan. Running down the sideline. Brad Ellis trying to hawk him down, and a good job by the officials. You see him, I think, step out right there at the 2-yard line, and a nice solid call.
Official spot at the 3, good for 70. 1st and goal. They go quickly on the zone read. And they're short.
Claire taking it down to the 1. I don't know why they just get back on the line. I'm running that thing one more time with Claire. The big dog's been rested there. You haven't really used him. Try to feed this guy.
Trying to cut the deficit to 12. Claire to the end zone.
Get in.
Touchdown.
Good job.
Still a game with 9:23 to go at 41-29.
So you kick the extra point here. You keep it close. You keep it 2 possessions. 9:23 left in the game. I think you can continue to run the ball if you get a 3 and out. I think there is enough time. They don't have to sell out and go to the pass since they scored so quickly.
Jake Suter on for the 30th point.
On the previous play of a touchdown is under further review.
And
as is almost every play today.
Let's make it a little longer. I don't know if we'll have an angle that'll be able to overturn this, but it looked like it was tight. I don't know if that ball crossed the plane. It's a good job there by Tony Porter filling it up. Big defensive tackle getting his hands around him. Got a lot of reviews today, Jim.
Kurt Johnson is earning his keep and then some. So the guys up in the booth. It's
I don't know if any
Nick
of these,
Manuel and Stan Evans, the coordinator.
I don't know if any of these guys are getting paid by the hour.
Probably not. This game is approaching 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Why not? So see him here, hand it off to Claire. It looks like that's probably going to be the best review.
After further review, ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
And maybe he didn't get in, but not enough to overturn it. Touchdown Falcons. You have ourselves a little bit of a ball game now.
Yeah, all you have to do is get that ball over the white line, and Claire did that. Now Jake Suter has 3 field goals to his credit today with the 30th point. Still very much a game with a lot of clock remaining, 9:23.
But the Falcons have to come out and get a stop. That's going to be the big key for them. Offensive line of the Bobcats is beginning to take over this game. Falcons defense forced out again quickly after a quick strike by the offense. Probably a little energized now, but still. As we see Claire one more time get the ball coming downhill. Some nice blocking up front by the Falcons. Looks like you know what? It looks like he stretched it right there just enough at the end. Good job by the official on the goal line to get that thing in.
Mike Jinks, head coach of Bowling Green, said when they first saw him, they knew that Claire was special. And he's going to be certainly the running back of the future. Josh Cleveland's a senior. Andrew Clare is a freshman. Donovan Wilson, 5th-year senior as well.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Got some good football over there, East St. Louis.
Well, home of Zeke Elliott.
Yep.
I got to watch him up close and personal for a couple years, and now they're getting to see him in Dallas. Very talented running back, so doing a great job over there in St. Louis producing guys that can carry the rock.
By the way, you being a talk show host, do you think he stays on the shelf for 6 games?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be overturned. The NFL's got a lot of leeway there, and with what they're able to do, whether he did anything or not doesn't matter. Roger Goodell has the ultimate authority to do what he likes, even if it makes Jerry Jones unhappy.
Nick Fields, little pop-up to the up man. It's a live ball.
Oh, goodness.
And the Falcons couldn't get to it quick enough. As 22, Martin Brooks came down with it, or it was Derek Burrows. Looks like it's Derek Burrows.
Smart move. Possession in this game is going to be everything. Bobcats cannot afford a turnover. Falcons are probably going to come out, try to load the box up, see what they can do, if they can bottle up that Bobcats running game. Frank Solich is hoping to burn the clock right now and see if he can get out of here with a win.
Auburn becomes the 3rd top 10 team to lose this weekend. Losing in Baton Rouge today, 27-23. They brought back Les Miles' national championship team, and apparently it worked in terms of inspiration.
It's pretty impressive stuff today, scoring all over the place.
Here's Dorian Brown. Ohio wants to maintain possession, chew up clock, move the sticks. No secret at this point.
Good job over the right side of the line there. Austin Pleasant's filling in for Jared McCray, who is out. That Bobcats offensive line, 305 pounds, 340 pounds, 316, 293, and 328. A lot of beef up there, beginning to lean on this Falcons defensive front.
Sounds like a Frank Solich team, doesn't it?
They love to run the football. They're veteran guys. They redshirt a lot of those guys, develop them over 4 and 5 years until they're ready to play and have the requisite size, and you see it paying off today.
Play clock at 5. Rourke to throw. That'll help Bowling Green's cause. Incompleted pass, now 3rd and 6.
Stopping the clock. Thought they could get a little play action there. Run it to Mangin, the tight end.
Now Tim Albin, the offensive coordinator of the Bobcats, has got a decision to make.
He does, 3rd and 6. It wouldn't surprise me to see him run the ball here, but there's still so much time left. This isn't a situation where they can just bleed this thing out. You see him going back to 11 personnel now with Cam Odom coming on the field to go to 3 wide receivers. And they still have to actively try to move the football and get first downs. This isn't something you can just try to kneel it out and hope that you can get out here with a win.
2-by-2 set. They'll move Meyer to the opposite side of the field, the far side. Send a man in motion. Need to pick up 6. And Bowling Green's going to get the ball back.
He had number 16 right there coming in on the slant. It was a nice ball by Nathan Rourke. Got him caught off in a rub route. Has to be able to come down with that.
Intended for Markel Davis. Now, what did you say moments ago? Even an 18-point deficit, no reason for anybody to leave the stadium.
Well, looks like BG's loading up. The Falcons trying to go after this. Only burned a minute off the clock with 2 incomplete passes.
10 men on the front line. Marcus Milton back to receive. Here they come. Farkas to Milton, fair catch called. Bowling Green from the 36-yard line, 2 timeouts remaining, and an 11-point deficit to make up. Don't leave us, still some drama left to play.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Falcons have the football down by 2 scores. It isn't critical they get a touchdown in this drive because a field goal would put them within 1 score, 1 possession. But Mike Jink's team is still very much alive with 2 timeouts remaining and with the football.
They played great on defense tonight. The Bobcats only 1 for 9 on 3rd down. So they haven't done a great job milking clock. Only ran off about 40 seconds that last possession. 2 incompletions after a run on 1st down by Ouellette that picked up about 6.
So you have a team that's run the football for 300 yards, yet you're throwing on 2nd and 3rd down trying to protect the lead.
Here's the thing. Coaches are really smart. Jim, a lot of times
Until they're not, right?
They can outthink themselves.
Yeah.
They start thinking too much about what we've done and what they're expecting. Just line up and run the football, pound the rock. Mike Jinks has outthought himself a little bit. They've been running the ball really effectively tonight. Then they start falling in love with these deep shots down the field. Well, how many have they completed? I don't care if the guy's open. Run the football.
Bowling Green's got time to run it now.
Andrew Clare's a heck of a running back.
Yeah. Two teams have combined for 518 yards on the ground. That's usually passing numbers. Falcons still with a chance to Clare. And a pickup of a yard.
A good job there by Quentin Poling, tracking him, the middle linebacker for the Bobcats. Very talented player. He knows who the best player is on the field, and Andrew Clare, and he's going to follow him around.
Now Morgan in trouble, throws it in desperation in the area of a receiver. So it'll be 3rd and 9, and pressure being applied by number 51, Will Evans. He's the backup defensive tackle.
And a great job there by Will Evans, pushing the pocket, getting pressure. Maybe the best play of the day by James Morgan, throwing away, not taking the sack for clock runoff and a big loss of 6-7 yards.
Need to get 9 here. Clare tries to break loose, and you would think this would be 4-down territory at the 41 with 7:45 to go.
I would say it probably is 4-down territory, but you look at the situation there. You know, it's second and 9, you run the ball, you get 5 yards. Probably should have run it on 2nd down. You've got a guy who's fighting and battling for yards. The only problem is now, if you saw Cleveland limping off, I don't know his availability. You may be asking Andrew Clare to do a lot.
Bowling Green is 3 for 8, Bobby, on 4th down this year.
They're playing some single high coverage, maybe no pressure, just a little stun up front by the D-line.
4-man rush, and the receiver wasn't anywhere near the sticks. Incomplete, ball turned over to Ohio.
Well, and Quentin Poling saw what Scott Miller did on his last crossing route. And he wasn't about to be fooled again.
Right.
You see him sit up in the zone, calling a nice cover 3, spot dropping by the linebackers, eyes back on the quarterback. Quentin Poling breaking back across, doing a good job. Nice sure tackle, getting his hands on the ball and batting it away from the underneath slot threat in Scott Miller.
Starting quarterback, head coach confer. Now Ohio with the ball. 7:16 to go.
As well as Ohio has played today, 1 for 9 on 3rd downs. I can't repeat that enough.
For a team that came in at over 50% success rate.
They've scored 41 points.
They have.
And being 1 for 9 on 3rd downs. It's almost amazing.
Got the first 14 points of the game by way of turnovers. Now the Bobcats look to run the football. And no reason to put it in the air with a 2-touchdown lead. And down to 7 for the game.
A big offensive line behind, right in front of A.J. Olette there, just pounding the football. Lining up at the line of scrimmage, but I would anticipate them running this clock down inside of 5 seconds before every snap. This is 4-minute offense here. 2 tight ends on the field. This is what Frank Solich wants to do. Get a little bit of a lead and then grind the football. And they've been doing a great job of it today. Letting this thing bleed down in here the best they can.
The next running play could put Ohio over 300 rushing yards today. Olette. Inside the 35. Actually, the spot will be at the 35. It'll be 3rd and 4, but more clock. And this next play will be run under 6. Tackle made by the East of the MAC Defensive Player of the Week, Brandon Harris.
So this is the down for the Bobcats that has given them the most trouble. 1 for 9 on 3rd down. To me, Jim, this is 4-down territory for Ohio. You're sitting here in no man's land. You're not going to kick a field goal at this point. They'll put you up 2 scores, the risk of a block, a miss. It's not worth it. You keep the football on the ground here, and if you're me, I might put the ball in Nathan Rourke's hands. Maybe a little bit of option, maybe some zone keep, some zone read. You've been pounding the football. Frank's going to run this thing down and bring his guys over and talk it over for a bit.
Ohio down to 1 timeout. That may not matter. The timeouts right now of concern are the 2 that Bowling Green has, as Falcons have to get their hands back on the ball and quickly.
So here's what they're probably discussing. Number 1, stay in bounds. First of all, 2 hands on the football, everybody.
That would be 1, and the other one would be 1A.
1A, stay in bounds. Don't let them have the football. Make sure we run off every second we can. It's probably 4 down territory. So make sure we can get as much as we can, get down. If you're short, don't have to fight more than you need to. The ball is the most important thing. And then they're probably talking about, hey, Nathan, have you been checking the defensive end? It's been a while since we let you keep one, or maybe we go back to the option here.
Let's update the MAC scoreboard today. 1 game already washed out. That's Akron and Western Michigan. They'll play at 1 tomorrow. Army stopped a 2-point conversion late to beat Eastern Michigan. Toledo has defeated Central Michigan 30-10. Northern with a 1-point win at Buffalo went through that 7 overtime game yesterday, and Kent State leading Miami late fourth 17-14. It'll bring us to a 4th and 1.
Nice stop there by the Falcons. You like to see that as a defensive coordinator. Your guys not submitting and giving in. A.J. Ouellette right there at the sticks. And Nathan Locke and company continuing to fight and battle.
Second of the half. This will be a
Falcons use a timeout here, Bobby, down to 1, and now have to make the defensive stand for them of the game, which means stop Ohio on 4th down, get the ball back, and see if you can make some magic happen in the remaining 5.5.
And I think it's a smart move there. Collect your defense a little bit, stop the clock. If you get a stop here, you're still in this thing. And if you're Frank Solich, you're telling your offensive line, guys, we've run the football today for over 300 yards. If we can't get another half a yard, we don't deserve to win this thing. Let's run it out. We'll hopefully get to run the best play in football if we play our cards right, the victory knee. We've got a running back that's 200-plus pounds. He's had a heck of a day. Or maybe they let Nathan Rourke keep this thing himself. But I'd like to see him run it right downhill over the top and see what they can get.
305 now, Bobby, for rushing yards for Ohio, 105 passing, just 7 of 22.
Nate Locke, the heart and soul of this BG defense. Let's see if he's able to inspire these guys to pick up the big stop.
Ouellette, first down, that'll seal it as he carries the football to the 25, fresh set of downs, and they can run some more clock here. You know, it's the first time I've heard the term 4-minute offense. That basically is your
rundown. So you have everyone here is 2-minute offense. Can you go score? Can you get your 2-minute? The 4-minute is running the clock out. And you see Ouellette right here coming downhill. Look at him. The sweet feet right off the cut there. Konowalski pushing it outside. No linebackers, getting just enough. But the 4-minute offense is what you're seeing here, running the clock out. How many timeouts do they have? How many first downs do you need to get? Bleeding the play clock all the way down. Hanging on to the football.
Ouellette becomes the second Bobcat over 100 yards today. Looks like he had one knee up on that run as he picks up 8.
But you talk about staying in bounds. In 4-minute, usually it's getting the ball under 4-minute. When you have a 2-score lead, sometimes it can start at 6 or 7 minutes. And you want to bleed that thing down. Possession, staying in bounds. Quarterback's not making any ill-advised throws. Sometimes it's better to eat a sack in 4-minute offense than it is to throw it, because now time is the Falcons' greatest enemy.
Miami Hurricanes, last-second field goal to beat Georgia Tech today, so number 11 avoids the upset, 25-24. And a weekend filled with upsets so far. 2nd and 2, back to Ouellette, and why not? Another Ohio first down inside the 10. Marcus Milton prevented the touchdown. We're under 4 now for the game, and the Bobcats set to run their record to 5-2 in the season, 2-1 in the MAC East, and we'll hope for a little help from Western Michigan tomorrow when it faces division leader Akron.
See A.J. Ouellette going out, bringing Dorian Brown in here, some fresh legs, and that's the big benefit of having a couple nice running backs if you're Frank Solich. Dorian Brown having a heck of a day himself, 7 carries, 59 yards. I mean, he may polish this thing off and score the touchdown.
Dorian Brown chugging those legs straight ahead to the 5.
And you see him smart. Another yard's not worth taking your hands off the football. 2 hands on that thing, covered up, sealed up. Bobcats going big personnel, 2 tight ends in the game, bleeding this thing down. I mean, Frank Solich would probably like to just try not to score here if he could, but too much time left on the clock.
Next week, Ohio, home to Kent State, will start a 3-game homestand, which will include Miami and Toledo. Bowling Green will have Northern Illinois here.
Miami suffering a big loss today against Kent State. Looks like Chuck Martin had that thing turned around last year, and Kent State getting their first conference win this season.
Been a tough year for Miami in close games this season. Second effort, Dorian Brown.
Well, Miami lost a heartbreaker early in the season to Marshall, who's playing some good football.
And we were witness to the one last week. I was anyway, when Miami lost the ball at the goal line and Brandon Harris returned it 93 yards. And of course, there was the Cincinnati game, up 2 scores with under 4 to go.
Yeah, that's Chuck Martin. He's aging by the minute down there in Oxford. And they outplayed Marshall the second game of the season thoroughly. Had 2 kickoff returns given up for touchdowns and a pick 6.
Straight ahead quarterback to the end zone.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Third of the game for Nathan Rourke. And his 12th of the season.
And a nice drive there by the Bobcats, running the ball every play, imposing their will, executing 4-minute offense, running the clock down the best they can. Only stopped by the end zone.
Quite a second half for Ohio with 4 scores. And now 48-30, and Nathan Rourke, after some turnover problems last week, 3 fumbles lost and an interception, comes back with a vengeance this Saturday. And the coaches couldn't stress enough on our conference call their conversations with him about protecting the football, and I would say, at least in terms of running the ball today, they have done a very good job at that.
Well, and he's done a good job running the football, and you see him with the sneak here, lining up, 2 hands on the football. He wants to get in there. He's going to let his big offensive line push. There was no reaching. But Nathan Rourke.
Now the passing attack could use some work.
He's still going to have some of those conversations. You know, one of the pick was a contested ball. His receivers fighting with it. The other one makes a great play in the backfield. Throws it late across the middle. That's one that you'll want to have back if you're Nathan Rourke, but did a good job on the ground and made his big play to Meyer when he needed to with a 40-yard touchdown to him.
That'll take the number 3rd ranked coach in terms of wins, Frank Solich, down to 93 when this one ends. And right now with 3 games coming up at home against Kent State, Miami, and Toledo, a good chance to make a run at the division championship before facing Akron and Buffalo on the road.
Big thing for the Bobcats, like most teams in the MAC, you know, they don't have a ton of depth, and they want to make sure that they stay healthy and they have all their players available each and every week. That's what's hampered them in the past.
Wilcox on the return, 1:46 left. Nathan Rourke on the phone. 8 carries for 143, 18 yards a run. And now 3 touchdowns, bumps him to 12. Again, he was tied for 4th in the country at rushing scores prior to the day.
I mean, what do you think that they're talking about on the phone? They ran the ball every play. Better fakes, better handoffs. Nice job on your sneak.
I know one thing, they won't share it with us.
I would love to be piped in right there. You know, a man didn't attempt to pass.
You know, in baseball, they hide the conversations with the glove.
Oh, yeah.
Especially at the mound.
Well, you know, Nathan Rourke, he's a young buck. Now we're seeing a little bit of, is that Loy in there, I believe? Grant Loy getting some reps for the Falcons at offense.
And that will effectively run out the clock in a game that is going to be close to 4 hours again for Bowling Green, with not nearly as good of results as last week.
Grant Loy out there checking around, trying to figure out, get some reps. Be curious to see if he puts the ball in the air here. It looks like he might.
Donovan Wilson down the backfield. Loy gets a chance to throw for the first time and completes the ball.
Nice
to the
pass.
30-yard line, and Pete Norris, his first catch of the game.
Stopping the clock on a first down. See if he can put together a little drive here in the last minute of the game.
Good opportunity for Loy to show more than just his running abilities.
They've got young quarterbacks here. James Morgan, redshirt sophomore, Jared Dagey, who had started a number of games, the true freshman. And then Grant Loy, redshirt freshman.
And the Bobcats with a pickoff. Turnover number 4 in the game.
Dylan Connor, outside linebacker, filling in for Chad Moore, who went out earlier with an ankle injury. And a good job there by the redshirt freshman out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, to come up and make the play.
Connor playing his high school football at Carroll in the Summit area.
Don't know if he got his hands under that. He said all change of possessions are reviewed.
But likely this one won't be of any serious nature.
Hopefully it's not reviewed too hard.
No. 1 play left.
Blowing this thing out. Nice little victory need for the Bobcats. Frank Solich picking up the win. Has to be happy after a tenuous start to this game.
In a game, Bobby, that had 8 lead changes before Ohio took command.
Frank's doing the math, making sure he can walk off the field. I always love the coach. They take the knee, look up. All right, they spot the ball. How much time is left? Under 25. All right, we're good.
I saw Brandon Harris and Nathan Rourke with handshakes there.
And you have to be happy if you're Frank Solich here. Nathan Rourke, after a couple of fumbles last week, carried the ball very well, almost 150 yards on the ground, doing a great job. Couple interceptions. You want to see them get those cleaned up, but they made the plays they needed to, and this Bobcat offensive line began to impose their will. Hopefully they'll be able to get Poppy White, some of their receivers back to bolster that passing game, but a great job. And if you're Mike Jinks, you have to feel pretty good about a lot of the things you did on the ground. Taking some shots through the air, didn't connect. Something to be desired there for the Bowling Green passing attack.
For Bobby Carpenter, Jim Barber, so long from Bowling Green, Ohio. Final score today, Bobcats 48 and Falcons 30. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live on the ESPN app, or to watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks. Log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.